Hello, everybody. Welcome back to day number 2 of the January Cup of the OC region. I'm here with my good mate, Zero In on Alex. How you doing? I'm so excited to bring the action with you today.
I mean, Fu, I always love casting Pokemon Unite, and over here in OCE land, so why not? I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. The blood is pumping, and I'm sure the players are ready to rock and roll.
They definitely are. I mean, we have 4 incredible teams vying for that number 1. And don't forget, this is our second monthly cup of the season with the addition of the AOS qualifiers beforehand. So, LDR took out the title last month. This time, we have 4 other teams, Alex, that both want to get those bragging rights, right? At least for January, to start the year off on a good note.
Absolutely. I mean, especially going on in the new year, you want to come out swinging. And again, OCE does have a couple of powerhouses of their own to show up. So, I mean, when you're entering the new year, what a better way to start off and kick off the new year in 2025 than to be the first champions here for OCE.
And, also pocketing some money as well. Not a bad way to start the year off. Maybe buy some of those new skins coming out. I heard the next Battle Pass is going to be Ceruledge and Blaziken. So, all those all-round enthusiasts, I'm sure that's something that they can add towards too. And just a quick overview, ladies and gentlemen, of the teams that have qualified into the day 2. We have in the winners bracket, Rough Esports and Natu's Revenge. And then in the lower losers semifinals today, we have Font Nation and Nintendo Rats going to be playing out. But we're going to try to bring you as many of these sets as possible through the spectate mode. Alex, I don't even know what to expect. I mean, Darkrai is banned out.
Right.
We saw some interesting plays yesterday. A lot of Greninjas actually came out to the fray. Some Cinderazers as well. From your region at least, is that something that's similar? Like, are these old Season 1 Central Area players, Pokemon's coming back?
I don't think we're seeing it as common in North America, but there has been an increase in Greninja as a whole, just across the board, whether it be in the Central Area or whether it be in lane. The reason being is I think Greninja and Froakie, for that matter, just have a really good way to get a lot of levels early on because of it's able to secure things with Bubble, able to survive with Substitute. Then the very common thing to do now, especially when you become Frogadier, is to get double team. That way you kind of separate, you can do a lot of damage, and by the end, when you have Water Shuriken, you can space yourself properly, get away with Shuriken, and its Unite move having that reduction, being able to use it so frequently, especially paired up with an Energy Amp, really goes to show you why Greninja has become so popular, whether it be in Central or in lane.
Yeah, speaking of Energy Amp as well, recently Blastoise got kind of that tweaked to its Unite move, right? And now, especially with Energy Amp, you can use your Unite move literally at any point in time. It's akin to the Pikachu Unite, which is crazy for a defender like Blastoise, and having the Hydro Typhoon knock out multiple enemies, giving you the shield to keep you sustained. We did see a lot of that yesterday as well as getting banned out, and having Blastoise as a Pokemon being banned out, and apart from like Umbreon or Mimikyu, Alex, I think it's crazy, and it just shows how the meta's changing, right?
But it really creates an interesting landscape, right? Because, like you said, arguably you could argue that the Hydro Typhoon is probably one of, if not the best Unite move in the game. And the fact that it has a cooldown reduction and you can use it so frequently, especially when paired with an Energy Amp, it could really, maybe pun intended, this could be the first pun here. It really changes the tide of a battle. Next thing you know, especially if you combine it with an eject button, you enter the fray, you set things up, you allow your team to have a breath of fresh air, you do damage, and maybe your team is able to pick up the pieces. So while it is a little bit wild, especially when we have Pokemon like Mimikyu running around, I still think it is a definite solid, or at least arguably solid, good ban going in, especially if you know it's a Pokemon that your team has struggled with.
Definitely, and I mean, we'll be able to see whether they spin to win right today, because a lot of them they're picking up the Hydro Rapid Spin build as well, able to stun out, but also have that anti-hindrance. So I'm very curious to see, as with you as well, whether we'll see more Blastoise today or whether it gets that Ban Hammer. The other Pokemon, I think, in the top path that is very popular right now is also Buzzwole. Buzzwole definitely doesn't have enough mobility, right, as some of the other all-rounders, unless you're packing that eject button. But I'm very excited. I think we have the first set ready to go, Alex. You and me, we're going to be spectating, ladies and gentlemen, the winners finals, our first set between Bruff Esports and Natu's Revenge. So once that's ready to go, I'm just... Any predictions today, Alex?
I mean, I don't know if I have any predictions, but I do agree, and I kind of wanted to touch on base really quick. The fact that, yeah, it is very possible that Buzzwole, that is something that is very popular in North America. That shield that you get from Superpower, I think that's now like a 20%, allows it to survive so many more battles. And if it's level 15 and has a Pokemon right behind it, like an Eldegoss or any type of support, it becomes that much stronger. So, it really is familiar to see both of these Pokemon in the top lane. But what else is familiar is we're getting started here. Bruff Esports versus Natu's Revenge.
Oh, I mean, we see that Miraidon already going down the bottom path here, Alex. So a Pokemon that definitely people will like to pick up, especially if it escapes the ban gel. But something surprising here, Robbie is going to be heading into the central area, trying to delay this Cubfu in its evolution.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? You see a Cubfu, you know it's going to need to get to level 5, because Cubfu by itself is not that powerful. And luckily, this Cubfu is going to be able to just secure everything, because, yeah, the biggest detriment to a Cubfu is not letting it become an Urshifu.
No, and what is powerful is 3 members of Natu's Revenge coming in to help out, just to make sure the evolution will come through. Ice is up in the top path there on the Beldum. So definitely pairing up with a Hooper is fantastic, right? Having that A-press ability to stun out with a Hooper and also help this little Beldum secure some of those neutral farms, very integral to its level 5.
Absolutely. You want to be able to get level 5. That's when really Metang can actually do some moves. Having Gyro Ball, especially because that's the move that's been very popularized to get those shields, the survivability becomes that much more important as the blue bees or the blue birds are taken away. Both teams playing rather passively, but again, we kind of predicted this. We are seeing the lane Greninja, and these stacks are going to be really powerful for this Greninja.
I love the fact that we just manifested even more Greninjas today, and they're going to be rocking that double team like you said as well, so providing those clones, and might be a little bit hard, I think, for YT to actually locate which one's the real one to use that Charge Beam.
That's the key though. Charge Beam is going to allow you to kind of rip through the clones, and now they're not going to let this Scizor, but it is a Scizor. That 5% increase has allowed Scizor that much more survivability, because even though it's 5% more damage, you're getting 5% more health, and with this Eldegoss, you're seeing the dividends that it's paying off.
Sometimes 5% can make all the difference, and look at that, Shifu taking down a K-Streak of 2 on that Hooper as well, as the members of Bruff Esports will be coming up to try to help out with the defense. Eldegoss does go down, though, for Natu's Revenge, as we have all these juicy neutral farms ready to go into the central area there, but they're looking to fight to get those experience. Sylveon taking down a Shifu.
That was definitely difficult there. You wanted to try to get as much advantage as you could, but the Urshifu did use that Wicked Blow to be able to survive some of the stuns that were coming out of Bruff Esports. They are setting themselves up, though, because they do have the Metang, who still needs to become a Metagross, which is going to be very valuable, but YT going to be setting up these Charge Beams as though, again, even with the clones, you can kind of disrupt them with that Charge Beam.
They definitely can. A little bit more pressure now with the Water Shuriken not actually connecting, as the Shurikens will come through to try to knock them out for our first siege of this match on this bottom pad there. Battle 7 goes in for Robbie, but escapes the Wicked Blow, and Robbie's now sent running back as the Hooper Porter will be able to renew 2 members of Bruff Esports to come back for this Registeel in the bottom part.
That Water Burst Shuriken missing out could have been the difference between staying alive and also knocking out a Pokemon. Teams are trying to go in a little bit here, as Registeel is going to be taken away here, but Bruff Esports not going to let it go that easily, as a Wicked Blow is a wicked secure. But now we're seeing what the Greninja was all about, Boo.
Oh, the Greninja will come through and get some KOs. 3 indeed, and Sylveon pick up the last one as well. So 4 out of 5 members of Naruto Revenge sent back to the Pokemon Center. That's going to give them the ability to score that 40 up in the bottom path. You know, 29 over. Not a bad start for them. Giving them that points lead as well. And, you know, level 10 Greninja on the map right now, Alex.
And level 10 Greninja is very scary. We already talked about it, as Metagross is also going to be able to hit the field. If it is running an energy jam, we already see that Greninja already has the water burst shuriken ready to rock and roll. It can be used to go in, it can be used to engage, and more importantly, that Unite move can be really helpful when it comes to securing an objective.
Sure, and I think just targeting that Miraidon is probably going to be the main point of you know, your intention with the Unite move as well. We've got all 5 members of both these teams now lurking in this top path, looking for this Regieleki. There's definitely way more secure potential on the side of Naruto's Revenge, so if they do want to start and rip this objective, they're going to be able to do that. But we have some more action coming in with Miraidon taking down Sylveon as the Sizzle is looking for more. Gyro Ball into the compute and crash will knock out Ziggury on the Sizzle though, and all while this is happening, we do have a little bit of a poke onto that objective, but looks like these teams want to continue fighting here, Alex.
Metagross getting those shields with Gyro Ball are that much useful. The Water Burst Shuriken tries to go in to get the secure, unable to do so. You got to imagine Bruff Esports, they're going to keep an eye on it, but if they let the Regieleki just waltz on in, it is only a 7 over cap, 121 to 114. It was a good engagement, and don't get me wrong, I think the Scizor could have gone potentially toe-to-toe, but those shields that you get from Metagross are so massive. It really is an impenetrable wall, while a Pokemon that is going to be limitlessly healing. So that compute and crash came in and was able to dissipate that Scizor.
Sizzle had to go back there. Joker in a bit of a tough situation. Uses the Hydro Typhoon to stay sustained there. All meanwhile, this Regirock's getting shredded by YT. We've got the Phantom Flores coming out. But yet again, having an Urshifu is just that safety net, right? You have an incredible way to secure objectives, and that's going to be able to pocket them that. The Red Illusion dive to go through, but Sylveon actually shuts that down on an HP and a Dream, Alex. And yet again, Bruff Esports coming out on the top in some of these fights.
Just a great engagement overall, and you're right, you know, Nacho's Revenge, while they are not winning these team fights and it hasn't been going that well to them, they do have a lot of secure, and already this Greninja being level 13, you got to imagine it's going to be level 14 if not 15. This is what I was talking about. Greninja's secure ability to move around, mobility, and get a lot of farm and be able to get a good number of KOs really goes to show you how powerful this Pokemon truly is.
Well, and it looks like Bruff Esports are looking to try to break this top hat as well. What about Shuriken? Does connect this time, but a good portal will be able to try to help out that Sylveon, but it does get knocked out. The Blade Arena has been set into the Hydro Typhoon of Joker XD, and somehow Irwin gets out of there. No, not that lucky, as YT will be able to confirm that KO as well. Ziggury now getting the tree knocked out will mean that this top path here is not going to be contested by Bruff Esports, and I think that is a great fight for Nacho at least to come back into this game and secure an objective for themselves.
Absolutely, Fu. I mean, when you talk about a team that kind of has been playing catch up through this entire matchup against Bruff Esports, and that's really go to show the prowess that they have. But that's not to disqualify Bruff Esports, because they themselves, even though they knew they were not going to win that bout, luckily, thanks to Buzz on the Hoopa, they used the Hoopa portal inside of the arena of the computer crash to be able to save their team. So great job, great analysis, but I also think that Nacho's Revenge was able to swing the pendulum just a little bit more in their favor because of that play.
I agree, and I think the points are just not differing by that much, that the Rayquaza is still a very important part of this game, right? We've got 20 seconds until that spawns. One last basement Reggie available, and we have YT lurking in the bushes, seeing whether it's actually possible to make a steal here. Oh, it's still on 1 HP. They try. It was a good effort, but it's going to be Owen to pocket that for Bruff.
That was one great attempt, but they might have caught a little bit else, though. Going to try to get out of there. That is something you do not want to get caught out. I mean, that's something Nacho's Revenge has to be aware of, that Metagross is going to have those shields, and it's going to be difficult to take out. So if you can get one of those Mons, pull them out, and get a good KO, that could be the right pendulum that Nacho's Revenge to swing into the victory column.
Yeah, speaking of swinging and pulling people out. We do have both of these teams dancing around. They don't want to get caught out, right? Especially knowing the scores are going to be so close going in. Ice is trying to maintain some sort of top priority there, trying to have some map control as they go into the Shifu. Computing crash will come through, but it does not set the arena there, as the server will be able to knock them out. A Hydro Typhoon knock out 4 members, and Metagross is the first to go down for the team. We have the Evans Fist to lock on, and that actually knocks out Sylveon. So we have Nature's Revenge in the advantage position at the moment, as Buzz will be able to try to bring the teammates in, but that gets shut down so quickly because it's going to be a team wipe here. A Chaos Trigger 3 for YT, and this Rayquaza is looking oh so juicy for our first match.
I feel like you and I have manifested everything that's happened so far. We talked about the Greninja. We manifested that. I talked about how if you're able to pull out that Metagross, you can get a lot of advantage and a lot of things swinging in your pendulum corner. And that's exactly what happened. Nature's Revenge was able to go onto the Metagross, and all 5 members just completely dominated and dove on it to be able to do as much damage as they could. Once that first domino piece fell, every other domino piece fell with it. Another 100 Aos energy going in, 491.44 with 20 seconds remaining. Natu's Revenge comes out swinging, and they're going to be getting victory game number 1.
You definitely have to feel good, I think, if you're Nature's Revenge, because the first game of the day is always a little bit nerve-wracking, right? Everyone needs to kind of shake off kind of the adrenaline coming in, knowing how important today is. It's going to be our day 2, right? Finals of our January Cup. Taking that win built some momentum, and, you know, last Cup in AOS qualifiers 2 cups ago, they played really well. They went through the winners bracket. They were the first team to actually make it into the grand finals through that upper side of the bracket, Alex. And they're looking to do the same thing, aren't they?
They are absolutely looking to do the amount the same, but look at this, the way they were able to go in, and we saw it. We did manifest the Greninja, but the Greninja was not the big playmaker. It really goes to show you that momentum was kind of on both teams, kind of similar. It wasn't really until they were able to pull that Metagross out that they were able to kind of get the KO. But look at the damage. I mean, Scizor, I'll say this much. OCE is one of the few regions that makes Scizor look absolutely phenomenal, and this is one of those times with Ziggury being able to be on it and doing 80k damage. It's all about sustain, and honestly, if you look at it, the real range kind of goes to the side of Nature's Revenge because they had the Miraidon. The fact that Miraidon was not banned out means they had enough room to kind of zone them out. Greninja, yes, you have the Water Burst Shuriken, but Metagross doesn't, Hoopa doesn't. I mean, Sylveon is an attacker, but the range isn't necessarily there, and Trevenant either. So this is one of those matches where I think just looking at things on paper, it just did not have, and Miraidon was kind of able to have a field day.
I think the other thing is the draft provided by Bruff Esports, it didn't really have enough secure potential, right? Just in case something like Rayquaza gets ripped or some of the objectives. And I think in a lot of those Reggie Steele scenarios, they found it really hard to actually contest it because it's not a Surf Gren to begin with, right? And on the other side, we have Miraidon that's really good at shredding. We have Hydro Typhoon on the Blastoise. That's great to knock up the enemies for this Wicked Blow on Geordie to take the objective out. And I think maybe going back to drawing board, we can see just at least some safety net, maybe some insurance policy at these prime moments when the objective spawns, just so that it makes it to be, you know, an easier time for Bruff Esports. They don't have to worry too much of just winning the team fight consistently. I want to quickly talk about the bans though, Alex. What do you think about these 4 members?
I mean, I will say the 2 suspects that I expected to see here were Umbreon and Psyduck. Little Duck, she's adorable, but what I did not expect to see is a Blissey and a Ceruledge. Ceruledge did get a recent buff, so I can understand why it's able to be so valuable as it is. What I don't understand is the Blissey. I know it's able to kind of prevent a lot of sustain with Safeguard, and it's able to heal as well, but I don't really understand fully the Ceruledge. I do know it's powerful, and the Revenant Rend Unite move can really literally shred through a team, but the Blissey and the Ceruledge definitely have me scratching my head a little bit more.
I can give you an answer to the Ceruledge. So basically, the Shifu player Geordie on the side of Nature's Revenge, they're known for their Ceruledge in the region.
Gotcha.
It's one of their like highly comfort Pokemon, and I think that's probably why they're like, you know what, we don't want to deal with that. We'd rather deal with something like a Shifu or any of the other all-rounders that Jordy likes to play. I think Blissey has been really prevalent in our region, at least, because it's not just the eggs, it's also the helping hand and the safeguard at the moment. It's just so strong and pairs up so well with other Pokemons. Maybe that's why we have the Greninja resurgence or a Cinderace resurgence, because if you can help out these A presses, right, with your helping hand, it obviously helps out with the shred of objectives. You can auto attack more in terms of enemies. Greninja gets a benefit, right? Every single auto attack reduces a little bit of their move cooldown. It just seems like a combo that, at least for this team on Nature's Revenge, they don't want to deal with. And Erwin picking up the Greninja, maybe, if we shut down the Blissey. Hooper Greninja, Hooper Blissey is much better, isn't it?
Right, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where I didn't expect to, but it's definitely a good Pokemon. And again, if you want to target ban somebody so you have a better chance of winning, it all goes the best to you. But again, they faced off. I think overall, Natu's Revenge had a better team composition going into it than Bruff Esports did. I mean, everything that they had just kind of seemed to really add up overall, but I can understand the bans a little bit. Umbreon, that makes sense. Little Duck, even though it has been nerfed, that little Psyduck can really be the disruptor it needs to be. It can not only like disrupt the enemy team, but with its Surf, it's also able to kind of move your team along into safety. As somebody who has played Blaziken and had a little Duck by his side, let me tell you that I have been saved one too many a times by those little Surfs or the little Disables.
I think Psychic is another move that we saw a lot whenever Psyduck was able to be used yesterday in day one. And I think going up against something like a Miraidon, for example, the ability to lock on at range and then pull them into your team just makes it so much easier for some of your carry players to actually access, right? Because if you think about your standard charge being Miraidon, it is so far away from the enemy team, right? It wants that back line. It's kind of like, how a Venusaur with Solar Beam or a Mew would actually situate themselves, and having the little yellow duck locking onto you, pulling them in or pulling them away from certain things.
Right.
I mean, it's a really smart move to use as well, and we see it come up a little bit more nowadays in this region.
Yeah, I think Psyduck is one of those tactical Pokemon that has more skill expression than I think people are aware of because of what it's able to do for a team. Because I know a lot of the times when we hear support, we automatically think cleanse and heals. But no, what Psyduck provides, it provides not only safety in by able to, using its Surf, but Psychic to reposition to either pull, push, just really sets the tone and can almost in a way kind of control the pace at which a matchup or a fight will break out into because of its kit. And that's what makes Little Duck very powerful of a Pokemon.
I think I call it like a Sableye but with like damage. Because it can do exactly what Sableye does, right? The point of it is to run around, get vision, get out of sticky situations. I mean, its passive Swift Swim, the Headache, it literally just pushes everyone out when things get tight, right? And so a lot of the times you can actually use that Pokemon to go into maybe the enemy's central area just to see what it is, at least for your team. Count the heads, where is everyone on the enemy team? But, like you said, Surf does a lot of damage, and so does Disable and also Psychic as well. So, whether it gets let out, we never know. But what we do know is at least Darkrai isn't going to be playable today. And
right.
Going in, I think I mentioned this yesterday as well. I'm so happy it's not. I despise that Pokemon so much.
Listen.
Having it locked out is so good.
Oh, I agree. I mean, there's nothing more heartache knowing that you're about to go into a full combo just for Darkrai to put you to sleep and then you get eliminated. That is the worst feeling. You think, oh, I got this Pokemon, Dark Void, go to sleep. And you're like, well, I guess you know what? Don't call the ambulance. I'll take the trip to the Pokemon Center myself and I'll heal myself. I know where this is ending. So while Darkrai is a very strong Pokemon, it is not going to be available for today's matchups as there are some bugs and things that need to be worked out for that Pokemon. But will they let the little duck out? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I do think Umbreon is going to, for the most part, remain in the ban only because it is able to provide so much for a team. The fact that it's able to survive as much as it can and the value you get from both Mean Look and Foul Play to stun, and then as your opposite move, depending on what Umbreon you want, you could either create some more stun and reduce some special attack with Snarl, or you become essentially a hybrid of defender and support with Wish.
I think another Pokemon that we need to mention as well that we didn't see in that first game is Tinkaton. Because this is going to be the first cup that it's allowed after coming out of the moratorium. We're going to quickly go into our game number 2 now. No Tinkaton so far, but we do have some new players into the fray.
Ooh, we already see Blissey, Alolan Ninetales. We have 3 evolutions. What a matchup. I can't wait to see the bands. Knowing that we have 3 evolutions on one team in Umbreon, Glaceon, and Sylveon is going to provide a lot. But am I seeing this correctly? Robbie's going to be going to go for the Invasion Nation as they are going to try to slow things down just a little bit for the Dodrio.
Robbie doing what Robbie does best. It's going to be round 2, but luckily, like you said, with Heart being there, with Geordie, enables him to get the red buff without too much contest. But Robbie is still going to, stay on his mission to kind of delay at least this Doduo to evolve. And yet again, a 3v1 scenario. Robbie using the Jet to get out, but might not get so lucky anymore with the freeze coming out from a Joker XD. And yet again, back to the farming, capturing this wild Pokemon. Geordie will go. Meanwhile, in the bottom part there, Naomi already Alolan Ninetales, so this is great for their team.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to have Alolan Ninetales, but I do want to think, especially since we were unable to see the draft, you got to imagine that Notch's Revenge took the Mamoswine on purpose, so Bruff Esports would not have the double ice, because when you pair up a Swinub and an Alolan Ninetales in the early game, it becomes absolutely a menace to deal with. But a good knockout from Robbie, stealing the show. This is 4 team push.
4v2 now, and Notch's Revenge doing their best to try to defend this pad. Ziggurat does have their curse up, but will get shut down immediately from the Ice Cool Spear of Irwin. We just said before, no freeze lane for them, but they do have the Evolution Nation, right? 3 evolutions. Insane early game. Let's see how it pans out for the rest of it. But so far, Rough Esports going to get that first bit of advantage for the levels.
Levels all around are looking pretty good. This Alolan Ninetales can play really well, but look at the Swinub coming out of nowhere with the Ice Fang, and this is why Mamoswine should not be made fun of or seen as a lesser defender. The way it's able to kind of just tackle in, pick a Pokemon up, and if you have the proper follow-up, let me tell you, that is going to spell a world of hurt as the teams are kind of breaking out into a little mid-game fight matinee.
Speaking of knocking out, we do have 2 members of Notch's Revenge actually falling down for those contests of the Altarias, and this allows Rough Esports to come in and get some more dunks in the bottom pad now. Robbie trying to save Naomi there with a heavy slam, but it's not going to be enough as they're going to be knocked out. Their Joker coming into play. Ice Fang isolating Buzz now in a tough situation in the Flux Zone of Natsu's Revenge, and this is the revenge arc that Natsu's are looking for, right? Joker getting shredded down by Ice Spear is not a good look though, and they're going to be losing their defense for this bottom part.
See, the thing, Fu, I think about sometimes when I can't sleep at night, I think about those Natus that were first here on Thea Sky Ruins, and I feel like they're looking like maybe I don't think they left Thea Sky Ruins. I feel like they're Thea Sky Ruins adjacent now, and they're probably looking at Natsu's Revenge, giving them a little nod and say, "This'll do, this'll do." As Natsu's Revenge is showing.
I think this is exactly what Natsu's Revenge thinks about at night as well, but they're going to have their resolve tested there. As we have Bruff Esports, 2 members are knocked out once again, an incredible bit of isolation and push coming out from Ziggurat there. And I think if they can protect YT, that's going to be the way to win this game. 1v2 scenario. Geordie not going to be enough there across the CC coming out from the Naomi, and that's going to provide them at least a consolation prize to get that top Regieleki. And it doesn't seem like Ziggurat can make it there in time before this goes in.
I mean, I do not blame them at all. Going up against an Umbreon and an Alolan Ninetales against the Dodrio, who kind of, is able to survive thanks to its speed gauge, is definitely going to hit a wall. But a lot of damage is going to need to be put from this Miraidon. Once again, I think Miraidon does have the advantage a little bit in terms of range and being able to provide a lot. But this Dodrio, if it can get to the back lines, it can spell a world of hurt, as Notch's Revenge is kind of running something you would see in North America with the double defender.
Oh, a Phantom Forest into the Hornleech will be good enough to take out the Alolan Ninetales. We're going to be panning this fight real quick as Joker is going to try to help out Whitey to take it down. The Ziggurat is still in the playing field. The Glacial stage will be set, and Heart is going to be the only one there. Unlucky, has to be abandoned by the team because it's about not giving away free levels, isn't it? Ziggurat now back on full HP. We've got kind of a random fight here. I think there's just so many yellow dots on the map, Alex. I think both these teams should prioritize in farming because they're not objectives, right? Is there any reason to fight there?
No, not really. That was very much more just trying to see if engage how much damage can we actually get done here. They're not going to be able to get much with yellow dots. They need to be able to get this EXP. Joker is finally a Mamoswine, which means it finally has its Unite move. So this can really help Natu's Revenge because they have gone 5 minutes without it, and now they have 5 minutes. Now moving forward, they have it with them. And again, this Trevin and Ziggurat is going to be able to play more of an all-arounder, even though both Pokemon are classified in the defender category. This does allow them to create that little bit of a wall, but it does look like on the top path you're gonna have 4 members of Bruff Esports to try to make a push against this poor Dodrio who's stuck all alone, and the block is gonna try to make something happen.
And so it's a triple trample as well, but he gets mean looked, so he gets countered straight away, and the heavy slam from Robbie is going to be able to knock Jordy out. I think there's just so much pressure for Jordy right now to take out both the Sylveon, the Long Ninetales, and also Irwin on that Glaceon, because there's not a lot of other divers, right, on the side of Natu's Revenge. It's going to be an uncontested Regieleki, and maybe we'll see a round 2 push onto this tier 2 pad. Heart trying to get out of the way, but the block is going to be good enough to push them into the wall. Irwin getting that KO, but Ziggurat is here with the Phantom Forest and the Horn Leak, but all the shield gets taken away by the Moonlight Friends of Buzz. What an incredible way to use that Unite move. Mamoswine trying the best to keep the defense up, but a bright future Meteor Storm will show and possibly help knock out some member of Bruff Esports. Do they have enough juice to push this in? The Regieleki is just shy from going in, but I think as communicated by Robbie, it is time to get out, Irwin. We don't want this anymore. This looks really bad for us.
That Regieleki was just inches away from going in, and Bruff Esports absolutely unloaded every Unite move that they had available to them. We saw the Snow Globe, we saw the Glacial Stage, you saw everything thrown at Natu's Revenge, and Natu's Revenge was able to stand tall, bring in the proper units. They called for backup, and they were able to survive just long enough. This last minute is going to be a last mad dash scramble to be able to farm enough to be able to get your Unite moves back, because again, as we all know, that big green dragon on the sky is about to land in about 40 seconds on Theo Sky Ruins, and there's still one objective in the basement that's still going to be available to these teams.
I think the benefit of having that bottom tier 1 pad available for Natu's Revenge is they have so much more space to kind of move around for that Reggie down in that basement path. Just because, you know, you have that healing capacity if things get bad. And I think instead of contesting that, Bruff Esports have done the smart thing to do. They've taken a early positioning in this Rayquaza pit because they know they're not that ahead. And if they can kind of catch Natu's Revenge out, right, this might mean they can win this last 2 minutes of this game and maybe take it to a game 3.
Yeah, it's very possible because as we know, Natu's Revenge did win game number 1. The thing is, Glaceon is going to be repeatedly hitting this, not as a way to rip or engage, but they need to keep these ice crystals up. But it might be a little bit too early though, as they are finally putting a little bit pressure, like I said, from the Miraidon.
Oh, nice Horn Leech onto Naomi. Naomi has to eject to get out, but it's not going to be good enough into the Horn Leech. No, the Meatloaf will be able to save her just in time. We do have Jordy running around. I mean, the target for this dojo is going to be the backline of a Bruff Esports. Robbie running around, trying to see what they can get any good heavy slam. The block will come through, but Natu's Revenge has done really well to get out of the stuns that Bruff Esports is providing. Auroville is landed there just to stop some sort of damage. It reduces the attack coming out from Natsu's Revenge. Everyone is still dancing around this pad. Can we get a good engage from any member of both these teams?
It becomes a lot difficult though. We finally see the Murano using its Unite move. Bliss assist lands on the Mamoswine. One member, Naomi's already taken down. Now Nacho's Revenge is trying to make a little bit of a push. This Snorlax is doing everything they can to keep this Glaceon afloat, and it just seems like nobody is able to fully take out nobody else. But the thing is, the scores are very close. Nacho's Revenge needs to find another way to get a KO. The charge beam, and look at the way this Sylveon just kind of juked the entire team of Natsu's Revenge, and it looks like Natsu's Revenge might be trying to go for a last-ditch effort for the Rayquaza.
I think if you quickly look at the secure potential, none of these teams really have the best, I guess, move to get that one tick damage onto Rayquaza, but you know, it is gonna be Natsu's Revenge time to try to get some scores in, and they do! That 20 actually sends them in the lead, and maybe they don't even need Rayquaza. 8 seconds to go, though. Might as well do it, right? It is so low already. 4 seconds to go. YT gets the Rayquaza. Sylveon is scoring for Bruff Esports up in that top half, but I don't think there was enough time to get it in. And if I'm correct, I think Natsu's Revenge, by the skin of the teeth, might have just gotten away with the win.
With a Dodrio score, me oh my, Natsu's Revenge able to squeak by. Out of all my years, did I think this is usually something 101? The Dodrio sent them over to the lead. Nobody was guarding, nobody was giving vision. You have a tier 1 still available. The fact that nobody ever went to go check on it, absolutely insane. Sylveon unable to get the score, but Dodrio came back, spawned, went to go score, and that is all that they was written, and that is going to send them into a 2-0 victory.
I mean, that's one of the benefits of having a Dodrio, right? The ability to score points at faster intervals of what you have in your pocket really just helped out Jordy and also Natsu Revenge to take that second game. And sometimes, like you said, it's just these tiny scores that matter. And what the reward is, I think, for Natsu Revenge is they have the first ticket into the grand finals today. And this is a repeat of what they did in the AOS qualifier. So they missed out on the December Cup, but, you know, it's clear to see the rest was really beneficial, and they've come back possibly even stronger.
Yes, absolutely. Without a doubt, this is Natsu's Revenge. Like I said, the Natus were not removed from Theaskai. They were just Theaskai adjacent. They have their new happy little farm that they like to live on, and they're looking down at Natsu's Revenge saying, yes, that'll do, team. That will do, because they are, like we just said, they were coming from winner's side, so they are moving on to the grand finale, and that's got to feel pretty good right now.
And just speaking of the grand finals, let's have a look at the other matches that have gone through, whether there's any updates. Now, I do see on the brackets that Nintendo Rats have taken down Fault Nation 2-0, so they're going to earn their spot in the losers finals for a chance to get back into the grand finals against Natsu's Revenge there, but they have to defeat Bruff Esports first. And, you know, if you're Bruff Esports, you come out from a 0-2 from the winner's side, there is definitely work to do, and you don't want to be knocked out of competition with a clean sweep, right? You want to be able to get your ticket back in and really show Natsu's Revenge that those are just warm-up games, and the show will really start in the grand finals. But we'll bring you guys that action between Bruff Esports and Nintendo Rats very soon. We're going to chuck into a quick break as we get that game set up for you. Alex, you and me, let's get some snacks. I don't know, get our water, rehydrate, go to the bathroom if we need it. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back in with all the action. Don't miss it.
And welcome back to the OCE January Cup Finals for Pokemon Unite. Hello, I'm one of your casters, Zero in on Alex, and with me is my trusty partner. It's me, Foo. We have already seen some amazing games right here, right out the gate. But really quick, before we get into losers finals, how about what was things like so our viewers don't miss out on the first set, which was Nintenrats versus Font Nation?
Yeah, so big shout out to Siobhan for getting us the information of the set that we didn't get to cover. So Font Nation against Nintenrats. They played some interesting Pokemon, Alex. We talked about at the start how Tinkaton has not been picked up, even though, you know, it's freshly out of the moratorium. It's available today to play. And in my opinion, it's a pretty strong Pokemon in ranked, but let's see how these players like to play them in competitive. So in the first game of this set, we did have Font Nation play Tinkaton along with Mew, Serena, Blastoise, and Hooper. So Serena also making a comeback there as well. And they're going to go up against Nintenrats beforehand. And they played a Metagross again. We had Pikachu, Snorlax, a lot of Ninetales, and Umbreon. So a lot of Pokemons, Alex, we've seen time and time again. But just, you know, one or two differences that could make the, the actual difference, right, in some of these matches. And the fact that Nintenrats was able to take down Font Nation 2-0 meant that something is working definitely for their draft.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen how Serena can play really well in Tinkaton, but that was unfortunately played by Font Nation, who did get defeated in game 1, and in game 2 they went with a more traditional Blaziken, Metagross, Mammoth Swine. When you look at game 2, Font Nation had not only the Blaziken and the Metagross, but they also had the Ice Lane of Mamoswine and Alolan Ninetales and Umbreon, and they still lost out to a Chandelure, Machamp, Snorlax, Greninja, and Hoopa, which goes to show you that even though traditionally it might work in ranked and ladder, does not necessarily mean it will just directly translate over into competitive ranked play when you have 5 members who have to kind of come together, and that's why Nintenrats was able to get a clean 2-0 sweep onto Font Nation. But congratulations regardless, Font Nation, because you still made top 4.
100%, and, you know, pocketing a bit of prize money wherever you can. Interestingly enough, though, looking at these two matches, Alex, no Blissey at all. So I do suspect that maybe Blissey was going to be banned because Umbreon is obviously on the field, but it's just been Hooper for all these 2 games. Maybe whether we'll see another Blissey being banned continuing throughout. You know, it's always nice to cast a Bliss Assistance, right, across the map, but maybe it's a little bit too strong at the moment.
Especially because you absorb a lot of damage, you're able to keep somebody alive and well, and they can stay longer into the fray. So I can understand why Blissey is being put aside, especially when Greninja's finding that resurgence again, like we talked about earlier. When it comes to helping hand, it can be very detrimental. But regardless, I like what Nintenrats have been able to put together in both games 1 and 2. Chandelure being one of those Pokemon that just kind of appears out of nowhere sometimes. It's never been one of those Pokemon that just is overpowered or the best of its in class. But whenever we do see it, it has performed historically really well in competitive play. It's just one of those Pokemon that every once in a while pops up and does a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's one of those sneaky ace up the sleeve kind of Pokemon, right? In my opinion, it's quite a glass cannon compared to the other attackers available. But like you said, you know, whether it's Overheat or Flamethrower, if they have the ability to you know, have like maybe a buddy to help them peel in some, you know, sticky situations, it does deal a ton of damage. And the Unite move, I mean, the Blinder at least is very, very good, especially going up against Secures, right? But we're going to head into our game number 1 of our losers finals for our January Cup Day 2. It's going to be your Bruff Esports against, you know, Nintenrats. So first time to watch Nintenrats today, Alex. I'm excited to see what they bring.
I'm super excited, especially because in the last match set we were able to watch, and even looking historically, obviously we'll never know what the bans were in the previous set, but we do see Mimikyu is going to be available. One of those Pokemon that almost 100% gets banned out. I would say it has a pretty high ban rate when it comes to North America, especially in ladder, but allowing once again this Miraidon to be available was unfortunately the thing that really slowed Bruff Esports down. So will they see a repetition when it comes to Nintenrats?
what we will see a repetition of is Robbie trying to go into the central area, I think, of Nintendo Rats. Now for the third time for an possible invade, but Punchy's there, having the vision at least is to see, let's just check. We don't want our Mimikyu to get behind.
Oh, you do not want Mimikyu to get behind. That central area is going to be so powerful because at level 5, regardless of what you go, which this matchup, looking at it right now, Shadow Claw seems perfect. Usually you'd like to go with a play rough, especially if there's going to be a lot of CC and things you can't control. But again, it really goes to show that Mimikyu can play both, and I'm excited to see which one of these it will be.
I do think that Bruffy Sport has so much of an earlier game, right, with the double evolution going in. So we're going to see a 4v3 here as they look to soak up some of this farm.
And look at the Shadow Claw going in. That is exactly what I was talking about. And here comes Rhino to provide a little bit of backup. And no, Mimikyu gets taken out. And now they're pulling a little bit of a reverse. That is 2 knockouts for Phantom. And they're going for more. Look at this Garchomp going in as a Gabite. Nintenrats went scurrying in. And now they need to scurry away as Brock Esports was able to slam and reverse Uno card onto the planet of Nintenrats.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Young actually came up, so it was a 4v4, but it just wasn't enough, right? Members of Nintendo Rats there to actually defend against that pad, and having 3 KOs to start today's first game off in the losers finals, Alex, that's a whole bunch of experience going on the side of Rough Esports.
That's going to look real good, especially when you already have this Trevenant up when it comes to having these birds up. And then again, with this Gabite, also going to be very useful to the way this works out. Again, Machamp is going to go with a traditional submission. Leafeon, though, able to get the good knockout on a Snorlax. And now, all of a sudden, this Leafeon is also showing dividends. Right now, Bruff Esports is erupting based on what we saw in game 1 and now game number 2. Bruff Esports is coming out swinging. Whether they were dormant, whether they were just not fully prepared, they came out ready and prepared this time.
But we do have some scores coming in from Panda, at least up the top half. So they're going to be points on the board, at least, for both these teams. You are right, though. Having a Leafeon early, especially now level 8 with its Emerald 2-step, is going to be so detrimental to something like a Miraidon. They need to try to be able to eject out of it or protect it with its defenders on their side. When able to break this top pad now, 4 members of Rough Esport are able to just pivot themselves in a position where they can rip this Regieleki, but still afford people to come down and defend this basement pad. They do have the Hooper Highway after all.
Momentum is key, and right now it is all going into the side of Bruff Esports. They have Leafeon ready, and look, we talked about Leafeon didn't even need to use it, but they used the Glacial Stage and the Emerald 2-step to ensure that Miraidon was going to go down. Mimikyu is going to try to go back in, tries to survive, and is moving around, but the Icy Wind, that is not an Icicle Spear, that is an Icy Wind type. Glaceon comes in, gets the KO, and a great job by Bruff Esports now, as they're going to get some ducats in, and they're going to try to quickly do some quick maths, get the stacks that they need, and right now Nintenrats is not looking so hot.
Yeah, it's not a good position to be in if you're Nintenrats. They lost both objectives. The Regieleki walked in as well, but a KO on Ice would mean a bunch of levels now for OD there. So having the access to their Unite moves once they come back up, I mean, the benefit of Play With Me is that you can really lock down one character, right? And if it's one of the evolutions, that's a, pretty much a standard KO there. I am surprised that they aren't going the Play Rough set at all, because I think going into double evolution is a great way to ensure iframes and also an easy KO to get those experience. But going up against Garchomp, I do understand you do need that Shadow Claw to at least contest some of the scaling damage that Garchomp can provide.
Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt, Mimikyu with the Shadow Claw going to be able to Shadow Snake, and there they do find an opponent. They're not going to be able to escape out. Robbie's going to be in a little bit of trouble, but they eject button through the wall, and now they get a good knock up. Here comes Snorlax being able to knock people up, and now you see the Garchomp's going to be able to go in, try to do as much damage as they can. That is a 1-2 punch out there, and now Rats have trying to keep it, but Naomi using the Leafeon so strategically, and Buzz is going to use the Unite move from Hooper. The Hooper rings are unbound to be able to get some extra scores in. Very aggressive play from Bruff Esports to use the Unite move like that.
Yeah, as a consolation prize, though, they do manage to knock out 3 members of Bruff Esports, so not able to break that pad could mean that Hooper Unite was a little bit too optimistic, but I did see Naomi manage to get a 40 dunk in literally the pixel next to the Meteor Storm coming out from Young. So at least that gives them some more points on the board. We have the Phantom Forest coming out though, but it seems like there's a bit of revenge maybe coming out from Nintendo Rats. They look to get some scores in themselves.
They tried to get some scores, but Bruff Esports just has woken up like a sleeping giant, just kind of being very oppressive on the opposition. And look at how you have this little bit of a split push. Garchomp has become extremely popular in North America, being one of the best all-arounders in competitive play. The way it's able to move around, do so much damage very quickly with his boosted autos, just continually shredding away to capture these objectives. And it goes to show you that, yeah, you know, Bruff Esports were struggling up against a Miraidon, but now that they've gone up against Miraidon, they are bringing the counters. They have Naomi and they have Glaceon just kind of moving around to ensure that Miraidon does not become a problem again.
I think the fantastic strategy that Bruff has brought out against Nintendo Rats is continually they are splitting the attention, right? There's never been a 5v5 because the Garchomp is always somewhere else doing the objectives. And, you know, whenever the Regieleki is getting done or the basement Reggie gets pocketed, it's all about, you know, are you going to send everyone to one path? Because that means you're going to be losing the other one, right? And the fact that we have W evolutions that's so fast to go through, it definitely provides a little bit of prioritization, at least exercise. Or I say it asks the question to Nintendo Rats is, are you going to lose a lane to commit to win to the other one? And right now, I don't think Nintendo Rats knows the answer to that question.
I mean, tempo has been the key for Bruff Esports. Even if you look at this Mimikyu, it's only level 12 with 1 minute remaining until Rayquaza lands on Theia Sky Ruins. And right now, Bruff Esports has had control over the field state and just kept the momentum on their side. It seems like the wind is in fact in their sails. We did see Irwin use their glacial stage, so you got to imagine they're going to be looking for any bit of farm to be able to get that back. One objective will be coming up. That's going to be the basement Reggie, but Naomi ticking into level 14. That is a very scary Leafeon to deal with, but something that you said, yes, Bruff Esports has been able to spread the attention. So when it comes to a 5v5 into one pit, which team has the advantage? Well, we'll find out in about 20 seconds, won't we?
We absolutely will. We have the both the Reggie's going to be spawning very soon, but I think both these teams are more paying attention to the Green Dragon that's about to come up onto the map. 244 to 52 though. There's definitely work to be done for Nintendo Rats, but if I've seen any Unite game, it's this Rayquaza. If it's pocketed by them, it might be able to swing the momentum in their favor. Got Crunchy lurking up top, and so is Ice as well, mirroring on the other side. But look at how aggressive Robbie is, just checking these right pixel bushes, just in case any of Nintendo Rats are going to be lurking there. I mean, time is running out for Nintendo Rats. They need to try to make a play, maybe isolate someone from Bruff Esports.
Bruff Esports has the advantage. They have everything going for them, so they don't really need to make a play, but Garchomp's going to be making their way downtown. They might have gotten onto the Garchomp. Garchomp gets taken out. This might be a big opening if they're able to enter the fray here. Nobody's looking at Rayquaza, though. Bruff Esports in a little bit of trouble. Here comes the Unite move from Miraidon, and now 2 members of Bruff Esports are down. This is what we were worried about. Let's see how this is going to go. That's 3 members. That's Naomi. Now they're going for the shred. Mimikyu does have the Shadow Claw available to them, and this Glaceon can't move. Garchomp's going to be able to make it back. Trevenant is still there. That is their last-ditch effort to try to make it. And they're able to do it with the Wood Hammer, Foo. With the Wood Hammer, they're able to get the secure against Nintendo Rats.
That was a pixel perfect timing by the one and only Robbie to Hornleech at the right time, but 43 seconds to go. We do have 3 members of Bruff Esports still taken out though. Buzz able to use the Rings Unbound, might be able to save them just now because anyone teleporting back from the home pad can go straight to the top path there. They do knock out 3 members of Nintendo Rats, and I think the vision, the reward of winning the first game after a fantastic Rayquaza fight has just been shut down by Trevenant, by Robbie from Bruff Esports there, Alex.
Wow! Would you say Robbie robbed the show? Well, I don't know, but let me tell you, what a way to strike them down and keep your team alive. Because you're right, we talked about the fact that Nintendo Rats, their attention was always split, and Bruff Esports was able to do that because of their positioning. But when it finally came down to a 5v5, Nintendo Rats found their opening. They got the Garchomp, took it out, and from there, it should have been all of theirs. But that last pixel perfect Horn Leech into a Wood Hammer, and it was the second part of Wood Hammer, not the first part. The second double wided slammer was what able to secure. You gotta imagine right now, Bruff Esports is sighing a big sigh of relief that Robbie was able to steal the show.
Just a an additional fun fact. In last month's cup, if I'm correct, we were in the same position, losers finals, and Robbie was playing Umbreon that they were able to secure the Rayquaza with like Snarl or something, or Foul Play.
Oh,
not
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the same thing happened, and they actually sent them back into the grand finals for that tournament. So whether the same thing happens here today, I mean, if you're an Nintendo Rats, you don't want that to happen. But what a fantastic way to start off our first little game, right, of this set. I mean, it's just, is there anyone else to have the MVP title than Robbie here? I don't really know. I think it definitely has to go to him.
I mean, I definitely want to give credit where credit is due for all of Nintendo Rats being able to gut onto East and be able to jump on that Garchomp and just kind of eliminate it from the equation. But more so, I mean, Naomi was able to go around, get good knockouts, do good damage. Everybody kind of played their part, but it was the age question. Yes, Bruff Esports was able to stay alive and keep things going for them when all of Nintendo Rats was quite scattered about. But when it came to that 5v5, Nintendo Rats looked for an opening, they found it, and this is just one of those just unlucky moments when you needed all hands on deck. And I understand Snorlax was trying to keep that Trevenant out, but that Trevenant shoved its way in and was able to steal it away. And that's got to be heartbreaking for Nintendo Rats. So the question kind of left standing now is it going to be good enough? Does Bruff Esports need to go back to the drawing board and try something a little bit different? Because right now, this is losers final. So Nintendo Rats is on their last limbs right now.
Yeah, I think Bruff Esports played the first 8 minutes at least very well, right? They definitely showed that dominance. They were able to break the tier 1 pads of both the paths for Nintendo Rats there. I think just the Rayquaza fight, it was played a little bit better than for Nintendo Rats because they kind of baited Ice to come up on top to stop that score, and then they all collapsed on that one person, right?
Right.
And then the other main KO, I think that was really important there, is taking out Buzz before the Hooper was able to unite.
Yeah,
because that meant that one, there's no more portals to heal up your teammates, right? No more peel potential for something like your Glaceon, right? Owen there, or your Naomi as well. And then just one by one, Mimikyu was able to lock on and take them out. But, there's always that one chance, right? If you leave one person standing, and probably 99%, or 99 times out of 100, it is going to be going on the side of Nintendo Rats. They were favored in every possible world you could think about, apart from that one reality. And just as Doctor Strange pointed to Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame, right?
Yep. Where he's like, there's one, and this tree was the one, which is absolutely incredible to see that is how things unfolded. A Trevenant is not a Pokemon that you typically see able to get the secure, but when you didn't have all hands on deck and everything, like you said, it was favored in Nintendo Rats. They were able to find their opening. They took out Glaceon, they took out Leafeon. Everything was going their way, but in that one reality, and guess what? That is the reality we're living in. That Trevenant Robbie was able to push through, get the secure, and quite literally save the team from what probably would have been a loss.
It's still, I'm trying to recover from that, Alex, and I think the benefit of Hornleech being unstoppable probably helped out there as well, because there were, submission Machamp on the side of Nintendo Rats as well. That could have possibly, flipped them up, delayed his impact going into that Rayquaza, but, when you're in that Hornleech animation, at least, nothing can stop you, and coming out of it, I could not describe it any more than the timing was just picture perfect. As soon as you come out of the Hornleech, you go into the Woodhammer animation, and it's not even the second thump, right? It was the first one or something like that, of where you the clap.
Yeah,
the
that's
Woodhammers together.
That is, it's the first. You're right. That is the first.
Yeah,
I had it incorrect. It's the first one. Yes, because
so
you're
it's
right.
even harder to time. It's even harder to time that move, I think, and there's a reason why Robbie is regarded as one, or if not the best defenders of this region, and I think that clearly shows, right?
Yeah,
you can help out, peel away from your carry players all throughout the game, but sometimes it's like they say, right? I've got to do it myself, right? Hold my beer. It's my turn to shine, and when all members are out of the fight and you're the only one remaining, and you were able to save it, I think that's a wonderful feeling for Bruff Esports to have.
Absolutely. I mean, Trevenant was the name of the show, and you're right. I said it incorrectly earlier. The Trevenant being able to go in and that first, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but for me, it definitely felt like time came to a standstill. It really felt like everything slowed down. My heart was starting to slow down too. And then you see the two hammers, and you're thinking, even though you're casting, there's a part of you in the back of your head that's saying, no, not like this, not like this. And sure enough, the hammer slams down, secures the Rayquaza, and allows Bruff Esports to move on.
So, I mean, the great news, I think, for Nintendo Rats, it is a best of 3, right? They have one more chance at least to send it into that game 3, but, you know, the pressure is on for this game. And, you know, if we were reviewing the footage of that last game, we would be thinking to ourselves, if we were Nintendo Rats, that we need to kind of combat the aggression coming out from those double evolutions, right? Because yes, we played a fantastic Rayquaza fight. Obviously, we didn't get to secure, but you know, all in all, it was a great fight. They played better than Bruff Esports towards the end. But if the same thing's going to happen again, how can you guarantee if you're losing for the first 8 minutes, you can have that same performance? So I'm curious to see what Nintendo Rats will actually bring out in this second game. But while we're setting that up, I thought, you know, why not get some inspiration from another region, Alex? We've got some data, thank you to Dr. Poker on Twitter, about some of the picks and the bans from the Asia Champions League. And this is, I think, the most recent one, day number 6. So if you can bring up that graphic production, we'll be able to show everyone what are the top picks that those players in Asia love to pick, and whether, you know, it's working out for them or not. So do you want to give us a kind of insight on the most used by role here, Alex?
Well, absolutely. When you really look at this, it's not too far off. I think the biggest surprise for me is in the attacker role. Mewtwo Y. The others make total sense, even just across the board, whatever region you're talking about. Little Duck, it is one of the best supports. Speedster, we talked about how annoying Darkrai is. Defender, we have that top lane aggression between Blastoise, and of course, its counterpart in the all-arounder being Buzzwole. But the attacker role, that is one thing that the ACL League has been able to stay consistent. They truly believe, and you could argue that Mewtwo Y still is the best attacker in the game, and they wholeheartedly believe it.
I think if you pair up Mewtwo Y with a Helping Hand Blissey, it does kind of go insane when you make it evolve as well. What I am really, really surprised about is that Buzzwole is not only the most used all-rounder, but also the one that has lost them the most games.
Right.
70% loose rate if you pick this Mosquito. And honestly, I thought maybe Cerulege or Garchomp would take that all-rounder role, but it seems like it's a whole different world there in Asia. And obviously, they don't have Darkrai banned, so Darkrai is undoubtedly going to be the speedster you pick up if you are going to pick up any speedsters, right? But Psyduck as well seems like they're able to play at least in 15 matches. They're letting it go. So my suspicion is probably Umbreon will be in place for the ban, right? Or Blissey as well. Because, you know, if they're letting this Yellow Duck run and it has such a high win rate, at the same time, you're not banning it out. I don't know whether they're just testing it or just teams are just really enjoying this Yellow Duck to play in these matches.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at things as a whole, I think the ideology is because Buzzwole is so powerful, because it's able to do so much for a team, they are picking it up. But just because of that, it's being countered by Blastoise. You know, you go Surfstoise, and then you really look at it, and you're like, well, how do I deal with this? You know? But, I mean, look at the bans. Hoopa being number 1. I mean, I'm not surprised, only because Hoopa provides so much value. I think, once again, and it mirrors the best Pokemon in its role, Mewtwo Y being banned out, that's not something I think we have seen across the board in North America, in Europe, in OCE. You're not seeing Mewtwo Y, but the ACL put wholeheartedly the Mewtwo Y that it is on the top 3 slots of Pokemon that get banned.
Definitely, and it's just this. I love the fact that maybe I'm just a graphics person. I love it when it's shown, data shown out in this way, because you can clearly see, right, with just the slices of the pie, kind of the prioritization, and maybe an insight into the meta for that ACL league. You know, Urshifu being up there is also, I think, not surprising, given I think Asia loves the Wicker Blow, and also you know, obviously we don't see the Rapid Strike Urshifu anymore, but having that ability to secure and be unstoppable while you're charging up, I think it's just a fantastic pick, even better than Power Punch Lucario as well. But the other stuff I think that's quite interesting to watch is Serena coming back. Right, obviously the Unite move got the finally. I think they settled on the fact that you can unite anybody, even if they're unstoppable. So that's probably one of the reasons why we see that Pokemon come back in.
I mean, triple axle with Grassy Glide, especially because again, that is a very high skilled Pokemon. But speaking of high skilled, we are going straight into another skill set of Bruff Esports, who is one game away. And is that the little duck broken out from the banned prison along with Dragonite, who's going to be entering the fray? Is that going to be enough for Nintenrats to be able to win on top, or is Bruff Esports, do they have the key to victory? Only one way to find out as we get into game 2. Bruff Esports on your left, Nintenrats on your right.
And speaking of getting it done and getting, the yellow darts online, I mean, Psyduck is looking to lurk in the central area though, but maybe deciding to go back into their path. We do have Robbie once again going in and trying for the invade, but it's just a deja vu moment, isn't it? As Crunchy will be able to stop that invade onto their little Dratini, which really needs the levels here.
I know, they really need to be able to get their levels up, and Dragonite is another Pokemon that can really surprise, kind of like we talked about before. It's a Pokemon like Chandelure where it doesn't get picked often, but when it does, it can do quite a bit for a team. Get good secure, does good damage depending on which variant you go, especially if you go like all-arounder kind of thing. But in that same vein, we do see a Chandelure in this match for the side of Bruff Esports.
I do know that OD is very comfortable on the Dragonite, and especially when Mimikyu's taken away from them, they are likely to play this Pokemon. We're going to see the first bit of neutral experience come out from the birds. We have Naomi ticking over to that level 5 as well. Up in the top path, though, we have Ice coming back in through the portal. I mean, there's not a lot of fighting going on. I think, obviously being the second game, now both teams kind of know how each other plays. Got to be a little bit careful, don't you?
You definitely have to be careful, be able to position yourself. But look at the way Naomi, that is the Electro Drift variant of Miraidon. And look at the little duck go. This is not the way. And the Surfin USA, go little duck go. You have the buffs and the world is just your oyster.
It's a little bit more than the oyster. They got a bunch of experience as well, and also baited out the full heal from Naomi. I think at the 8-minute mark, we'll be hitting the map very soon. The next bit of Altarian Shot Boost will be coming up, and this time it's going to be more contested than both of these teams. I just realized, Alex, there's a Chandelure in there this game for Bruff Esports.
Yeah, I mentioned it before, how when I was talking about Dragonite, that I was talking about it's a Pokemon that is able to perform just like Chandelure, and sure enough, Bruff Esports does have the Chandelure available to them, and right now it's paying in dividends, but Little Duck gonna need to try to find a way to escape. And those Surfs, the way it's able to use Surf and Psychic in combo to just push that candle away, it's so good. But again, you're right, Bruff Esports does have some pickup pieces now that they have the Blastoise, they took the Miraidon away, and they have the Mimikyu. So a good team all around, and will Nintenrats be able to make something of this, as now they're going to need to back off a little bit. Nintenrats need to get OD online as the Snorlax tries to do as much as they can. But Naomi going with the Electro Drift, interesting way to try to kind of counteract the movement.
Definitely, I think it makes the Miraidon a little bit harder to take down, right? A nice little heavy slam though from Crunchy will be able to knock them out. However, Robbie trying to go for the KO, but actually gets shut down themselves, and that gives OD the evolution that they're looking for.
That was just a beautiful way they were able to get that. They were able to kind of push Naomi away, get the KO, and yeah, normally I'd say it's definitely harder to get the KO that way, but they were able to get the KO, and then going up against the kind of their team slayer, Robbie, to get that final boosted auto off really paid up. But Naomi is back in action, ready to rock and roll. And they're going to try to set up a little bit of a Dragon Dance, try to make room, but no, Bruff Esports has positioning, gets a good KO on the Chandelure. Hyper Beam going to go out, but luckily Blastoise able to escape just in the nick of time.
I think the other reason why Dragonite's such a good pick, it's really similar to the Garchomp, right, that we saw in the first game. It's able to rip that objective really fast, but in addition to the rip potential, you're able to secure very well as well, and they obviously secured themselves a Mimikyu there, hitting out their levels as well. So 2 level 9s now coming out from Nintenrats against 2 as well. So level-wise, quite close, but definitely you can feel the pressure coming through from Nintendo Rats as the Smogo will go off for Panda, and I think Hooper will go down there.
Nintendo Rats looking a lot better this game than they were into game one. They've kind of set themselves up. Dragonite able to get a good secure. The question is, do they have enough to provide a little bit of pressure? Robbie doesn't have level 9, meaning they do not have the Hydro Typhoon, so if they're going to try to make a play, this would be the time to make it, but they do see the Midnight Ignite go out, but the Regieleki finds the Dome. Big 40 goes in to be able to get only a 10 overcap, but the Dragonite gets caught a little bit as it tries to use its Unite move, and now Naomi is using this Electro Drift to just drift into the team of Nintendo Rats. Meanwhile, this Alolan Ninetales trying to slow things down just a little bit. We see the Phantom Force finally come out, and great job on the defense by Nintendo Rats.
Wow, Panda choosing Aurora Veil against an Electro Drift Miraidon is so smart here. You can see that in full display, because Naomi did dash in, but the damage reduction and the Dazzling Gleam to stun were able to make sure that Panda actually gets out there and wins that matchup, right? Speaking of winning matchup as well, Blastoise will go down, Robbie losing out to Crunchy over there. And just as you mentioned before, Nintendo Rats looking way better than they did. They seem to have this refreshed motivation to really play aggressive. And, you know, fight fire with fire here.
Oh, fight fire with fire as the block is able to block the surf. Regice is going to be taken away, though, because Hyper Beam Hydro Typhoon is going to come out. Are they going to be able to escape it, though? Not able to do so. And now Nintendo Rat's going to go into a little bit of a siege and destroy as they've taken 1, 2, and a big old Hyper Beam as a capital exclamation point. Quick Math says Little Duck can score, and another big 50 coming out from OT. That is 2 and 92. Just Hyper Beam is such a still good secure tool. If it's not Urshifu Wicked Blow or Overheat from Blaziken, you gotta go with a good secure tool like Hyper Beam. And even just looking at the score, momentum, pace, levels, Nintendo Rats is looking so much better into game number 2.
Did you see how we had a Psychic pulling Ice into the surf of Urio and then knocking them out? That was beautiful to watch. But we do have a contest of this Regieleki as the rings will come unbound for Buzz. But the play with me going on to the Dragonite will be able to shut them down here, Alex.
Oh my goodness, the play with me able to shut them down, then combine it with some power from the Hoopa ringed unbounded form, able to do heavy amounts of damage. But now the Trevenant going to use the Phantom Force to try to slow things down. Great job by Nintendo Rats to be able to get a little bit of positioning. Naomi's going to need to be getting out of the way, but a good Hydro Typhoon able to catch a couple of members of the side of Nintendo Rats. Nintendo Rats going to try to push a little bit more. Naomi living on a little bit of a sliver. The Duck going to have to try to retreat. Regardless, all things considered, Nintendo Rats had a 100% guarantee right now because they were able not only to defend, but now they have gained the advantage and they're more than likely going to secure this Regieleki.
It's just so difficult, I think, for Bruff Esports, right? They did a fantastic knockout of OD there, but they didn't have enough time to take this Regieleki, and once the Dragonite comes back in, I mean, the tempo is all on the side of Nintendo Rats now, as the Regieleki will be you know, looking to walk into that top path there, and that forms as a distraction, at least, for one member of Bruff Esports. Especially 30 seconds to go until this Rayquaza spawns there. This allows, you know, this basement Regice to be taken by Nintendo Rats as well. And I want to see Nintendo Rats actually take a aggressive position at the Rayquaza, because for once today, they're ahead in this Rayquaza fight against Bruff Esports. And, you know, they're in a great position to win this game.
Am I seeing that correctly? That the Regieleki, they just kind of allowed it to go in? I mean, I can understand. There was plenty of time. Listen, I'm not here to take, you know, tit for tat, try to pick out what is right and what was wrong, but you had plenty of time. But I think Bruff Esports was trying to prioritize a little bit of positioning. But now the foot is on, or the shoe's on the other foot, because Nintendo Rats is forcing Bruff Esports to make a play. And look at that Psychic to push in or pull in that little turtle known as Blastoise.
Area has the ability to pull in something like Irwin into their team, and if they can KO some of the attackers, it might be a good starting point. Going up to the top path, though, looks like action is packed now as the Meteor Storm will go through, but the Hyper Beam's used. They're not able to knock out the Chandelier, Alex.
Oh, that was a big KO coming out from Miraidon there. They really wanted to be able to get Naomi, but Naomi was able to reposition those Unite moves to do heavy amounts of damage. Unite moves have been burned, but this is the last one still remaining. The Unite move still available for a team. Bruff Esports have the Hoopa rings unbound. This is going to be They spell big trouble. That's a great eject button to get out of danger. Snorlax is down, Crunchy is down, and now Bruff Esports is going to try to reposition. They're trying to lock this in. Little Duck is still here. They're going to surf. They're going to... The Dragonite comes out of nowhere. They do have secure if they're able to get the Hyper Beam off. Positioning is coming as the Alolan Ninetales for Nintenrats, able to get a good secure. Rayquaza going to be doing heavy amounts of damage, and now it is scoring time. It's come to slam. Little Duck surfing USA. They are going in, or I should say surfing OCE, as they are able to get the Mimikyu knockout. And right now, Nintenrats is alive with a new health, new rejuvenation, and we are going into a game 3 with 20 seconds remaining on the clock.
Nintenrats, their dreams of making into their first grand finals of the monthly club stays alive, right? I mean, for the better part of that Rayquaza fight, I thought Rough Esports had them, running, especially that early KO on OD. Yet again, there was enough time for them to come back in, and the benefit of the Draco Slam, right, was able to TP basically, fly up into the sky and land right onto that Rayquaza, stunning them. But then Panda coming in with the clutch Dazzling Gleam secure really put the nail in the coffin there. So well-earned victory for them. But this match is so close here, Alex. I don't actually know what it's going to be the result for the game number 3 because, right, this was a complete flip of the script from game number 1.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? There was no domination by Bruff Esports from the get-go, right? It was more like this is the story that Nintenrats wanted to tell. They were writing, the sequel to it as they put themselves in. You can see from even the battle report, they pretty much were able to secure all but one objective. So it was already their hands on the steering wheel. They wanted to win this, and it all went smoothly this time.
Listen, I am no chef, but I'm gonna tell you something, a key recipe here. A good victory always has a little duck with you. And I can speak from experience that when I have my little duck by my side, it gets a lot harder to lose. But let's take a quick time out because we need to set up for game 3. Don't go anywhere, because if we saw how game 1 went and game 2 just went, I can only imagine what we're going to expect into game number 3. Do not go far. We will come back with some more Pokemon Unite action, losers finals here for the OCE January Cup finals.
Welcome back, everyone. Now hold tight onto your seats because we're about to enter game number 3 of our losers finals of the January Cup for the OC region. I mean, we're heading the lead for our first finals, right, of the 2025 Cups. And it's good to live in the future. I think in some instances, Alex, we get to see who at least will be able to get the crown right for our 2025 season. But Nintendo Rats against Rough Esports is going to be the set that we've been spectating. Just reminder to all, it is one apiece, right? Nintendo Rats somehow found a way to really bounce back from losing the Rayquaza fight in that game number 1, and whether they can continue the momentum, or Rough Esports finding maybe a secret ace up their sleeve, bringing into this game number 3. What we do know that is, so far, Alex, whatever team has the Psyduck wins those games.
I mean, listen, I'm not a chef. We might have a chef, but I read his culinary book, and he says if you have a little duck with you, you are guaranteed to win 100% of the time. I don't write the books. I just read them. That's all I do. But I will say this, Nintendo Rats, to their name, are a scrappy bunch, because we saw in game 1 that they were able, even though they were behind the entire game, they were able to find an opening. They made an opening. They didn't just find one, they made one. They were able to converge on a Garchomp, and they were able to, and everything, like you said, was in their favor to be able to win game number 1, and it was swiped away by a Trevenant Woodhammer, one animation clap. That was all she wrote. That being said, though, game number 2 was a different story, where Nintendo Rats had everything going for their favor, and in the end, they were able to clutch it out, and they played much better. But as we get into game number 3, only one of these teams will be moving on to grand finals on the loser side. One team is going to have to pack their bags and go night-night and call it a day, night, evening, wherever you are, depending on where you're watching, because it is time for game number 3. Bruff Esports on your left, and you have Nintendo Rats on your right. It is time to see who's able to crown themselves into grand finals.
Yet again, Robbie and Crunchy finding themselves in the center area. Always to say hi, I think that's probably the greeting of choice. But we do have Exhaustion now joining the fray for Nintendo Rats. So it's going to be a little bit different. It does have the capacity to secure, though. Naomi finding themselves back into the Pokemon Center early on in this game for our first KO and takedown in favor of Nintendo Rats.
Like seeing how this time Nintendo Rats brought a Zacian to the fray, which makes you believe that Miraidon was probably more than likely banned out, as neither team has picked it up. But we have seen the success that Metagross has been able to find, especially when it comes to these teams, especially when you look at the all melee team that Nintendo Rats kind of has up their sleeve besides the Alolan Ninetales. This Metagross could really spell a lot of trouble for the side of Nintendo Rats.
Yeah, the other thing that could be trouble is the Hooper as well, able to put people up and down. I'm surprised it's going to be a typical 3v3 action up in the top half, though. The Spears will not be able to knock out Panda, as he safely going to come through the home pad. They're going to walk here. They're not going to TP straight back because they know what was waiting for the other side. There's going to be eyes on that Matang.
Eyes on the Matang are going to be very valuable in this sense, because again, that Gyro Ball is going to allow you to get big shields, stay in fights longer, and especially with the Eldegoss, I think they really set themselves up for a good clean sweep. Plus, again, we've seen that Metagross has had really good success here in the OCE region. Robbie trying to get as much EXP as they can, as the Metal Claw is going to go in onto ice a little bit. Again, Metal Claw did get recently nerfed, so unable to do that heavy amount of damage that it's normally been able to do. But both of these teams going to be setting themselves up to get these birds. Here comes the Metal Claw trying to convert onto Glaceon. Glaceon gets a little bit stuck, but now they're met with Matang in the last second. Whoo, that dog was able to get back to the house, stay indoors. It's kind of dangerous out here on Thea Sky Roads.
It's definitely dangerous for Rough Esports now, as 2 KOs will come out there. Hooper managed to pick up the Wartortle at the end. I just want to say what a fantastic choice to use Metaclaw here, because the Icicle Spears coming out from Irwin are projectiles, and if I'm correct, Metaclaw does reduce the damage that, if front on at least, if you're charging at the evolution. We do have Panda hitting that level 8 now as a Alolan Ninetales. Oh, sorry, it's OD actually on the Ninetales. They're going to choose the Dazzling Gleam build as well, just to stun enemies coming in that way. Or obviously popping the passive of Irwin there as well is huge, as the objectives will be spawning in. Probably some last little bit of scores for both of these teams. I mean, this is going to be our final game, isn't it? Between these two Titan players.
I'm excited to see what the bans were kind of looking like. No Dragonite, no Mimikyu, no Umbreon. Like, it leaves no Duck. Are those the four? Who knows? I guess we're going to find out within about, it's about 6.5 minutes or so. But right now, Bruff Esports gaining advantage. They're able to get the secure, and it does look like they have 4 members. Glacial Stage is set, which means they're going to try to make this big old push, though. Panda is going to be taken out. Now the rest of the members are just going to push this in, knowing very well one thing that teams tend to forget is how powerful Hoopa is when it has these pads available to them. If you're able to be an aggressor and take those pads out, it really slows down the viability that Hoopa brings to a team.
It definitely does, and I think just a trade of the objectives there is going to head us into this mid-game so far. Nice little engagement. Ice, maybe in a bit of a bad situation there, has to try to get back into the team. The Snow Globe will be able to deal some damage as well, but Ice going down there, meaning that they will not be able to evolve that Metagross just yet. And Crunchy has seen that. Maybe the spears aren't too fun today, has to quickly get out there. But yet again, so many yellow dots. We need to see some more Pac-Man action from both these teams. They need to get their Unite moves at least for this next engagement.
I just gotta say, the teamwork that Nintenrats is bringing on the table, it needs to be loved a little bit more. The way that that Snorlax Crunchy was able to use that block to stop the Snorlax and the Glaceon from entering, and then OD setting up the Dazzling Gleam so Crunchy could get out safely, was just one of those, quite literally, I might actually be a chef, because now I have to give a chef's kiss, so I might be imposter chef, who knows. But here comes OD again, playing a little bit of damage dealer, but also a little bit of support with these Aurora Veils, allowing their team to kind of get to safety.
Yeah, OD level 11 so early on is great for them. The Computing Clash will come through, sets up that arena though onto the pad there, but Snorlax is going to actually counter that with its Power Nap as well.
Just a great job by Snorlax being able to just kind of put it to sleep, and now they're going to try to converge a little bit onto the Glaceon, and it does get pushed in, and Metagross and Glaceon both get cut down to size by Panda. A great job from Crunchy, who has been setting up these blocks for major knockouts for the side of Nintenrats. This is a lot closer than it might seem. Level-wise are close. Points-wise are close, but Nintenrats is playing really well when it comes to these team kind of operations and being able to work together as a team, as Nintenrats are going to be able to secure this, and they might be trying to do what was done onto them.
They definitely are looking to siege this top pad there with the Regieleki. Aurora Veil will come down there. We do have a Eject Surf pushing OD in, and also the Hydro Typhoon. Robbie's using every single resource in his arsenal trying to take OD down, but OD's still able to live it out. Zacian going down is not good there, but the Barrage Blow will be able to connect onto OD and finally sending them back to the Pokemon Center, Alex.
Oh, they need to be sent back to the Pokemon Center. That Machamp was able to get a good amount of KOs. And Nintenrats, they need to regroup, but looks like Naomi, they are looking for more. They want to make it known that they are the Machamp. They are here to play the game, and they need to know. Both of these teams are fully aware that this is their last-ditch effort to be able to make it into the championship round, at least into grand finals, regardless whether it be loser side or not. The Snow Globe comes out. Snorlax able to take a big old nap. Listen, I wish I was a Snorlax where I could take a nap and succeed, and they were able to do just that. As the block combined with the Aurora Veil kind of makes Snorlax almost undefeatable to take down easily.
Just everything seems to be going on the side of the Nintenrats now. They're going to be able to get a nice score up top as well. I mean, just a nice 21. Trevenant will be able to get out of Naomi there. And like you said before, if Bruff Esports aren't able to break that bottom pad, I mean, this is just going to be beautiful, right, for the Hoopa to send people up and down. And that's the strategy Nintenrats has brought to this game. They are so early up to the objectives. Zacian starts to rip super early as well. And if Bruff Esports doesn't have an answer to that, they're going to be losing these objectives.
And that's the thing you don't want to lose, because objectives gives you momentum, and losing momentum is not something you ever want to face. As now we see Crunchy already solidifying, trying to stop the Snorlax, the Blasters from getting through. Aurora Veil is going to allow the rest of the members of Nintenrats to kind of stay safe, stay alive. This Regieleki is going to be available, but Nintenrats might be just trying to give it up. They realize that the importance that they're going to get might lie more in having positioning and proper, like, direction. This Regieleki, when when all things are considered, is not as important, but they might have caught them out. Robbie's in a little bit of danger, and that's going to spell a lot of trouble. Robbie is going to be able to come back in time for the Rayquaza, but that does not mean taking them out is going to help them, especially when it comes to positioning. And Nintenrats might be just going all in as Naomi with a big Unite move, able to get 4 members, and the computer crash is going to be able to catch him, get another KO. Naomi set this all up for the members of Rough Esports.
They definitely have, and now with a numbers advantage, even though they lost the Machamp, we have 4 members just ripping the Crozza. There's still a chance though, we've seen Trevenant do it before, but can they do the impossible? It's on 1 HP! Glaceon will be able to confirm that KO, and this is looking good for Rough Esports as they're going to be following the Purple Brick Road, get some Handleburgers in, and score the ticket to the grand finals of the January Cup, Alex.
Wow, what an absolute crushing defeat by Nintenrats. Naomi, though, with that Unite move positioning, was able to kind of be the setup person to then just get spiked by the rest of the team of Rough Esports. That was just in a beautiful way. They were able to set everything up, and my, oh my, everything just kind of fell apart after that Unite move, and Rough Esports are just punching their ticket right back into grand finals. They've warmed up a little bit, even with all these ice Pokemon like Glaceon, and in the end, they are running it back, knowing what awaits them, and Glaceon getting KO after KO, a triple threat. In the end, that's all that matters. But a great job. In my eyes, Naomi is going to be my MVP. The way they set that up was absolutely astronomical, especially once our go down. It really helped Rough Esports. They were quite the buff and the bruff for their team.
They definitely were, and I think just Robbie going down there looked good for Nintenrats, but they kind of just bunched up for the Machamp Unite. But the biggest thing is Ice able to lock on and actually trap Panda in their compute and crash, which meant that, I was going to say, the best secure Pokemon for both these teams is going to be that Zacian Unite, right? But taking them out, and then Uria going down the Hooper, not able to bring teams back in as quickly as possible, just meant that it was just a green light opportunity for Brassilos to get that rip going on, and which is what Erwin does best, right, on Icicle Spear, Glaceon there. So congratulations, Rough Esports, making their way back in. It is now revenge time, isn't it? They're going to be going up against Natu's Revenge, and I do anticipate Natu has been watching this match very closely, thinking of a strategy to shut Rough Esports down. They've done it before. Can they make it another 2-0 victory, or will it go to a bracket reset? Alex, what do you think?
I mean, that's what makes this interesting. We saw that Rough Esports got 2-0'd by Natu's Revenge. We saw how quickly and swiftly they were able to make do, but can they do it again? Rough Esports has gained, you got to imagine, at least a little bit of confidence. Momentum is in their corner. The way they were able to clutch up game number 1, and they had a better time in game number 3. They have a little bit of wind in their sails. Have they warmed up? Are they now fully working like a well-oiled machine? I guess only time will tell, Fu.
Yeah, so a lot of questions. We'll have the answers for you guys very soon as we get set up for the grand finals of our 2025 OC January Cup. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back as we set it up. I'm curious to see whether we're going to go the distance, or is it going to be a clean sweep for Natu's Revenge, because they've done so well so far. They've actually haven't dropped a single game over the 2 days, Alex, so all eyes are going to be on this set. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to the OCE January Cup Finals. We have made it a long way here, Foo. But let me tell you something, brother. Well, one, hi, my name is Zoran Alex. Nice to meet you. How you doing? Having a great evening, afternoon, day or night, morning, all the above? Hopefully so. But what matters even more, Foo, is we are here for Grand Finals, Pokemon Unite, and what a day we have had.
Yeah, this is my favorite week of every month, Alex. Having, the chance and the opportunity to watch teams of the OC region compete officially, and especially when we are going down to the last two teams of the region, fighting it out to see who will be crowned champion of our January Cup. We've seen them before, right? Natu's Revenge against Abruff Esports. Now, fun fact is Abruff Esports actually made it into the finals in the December Cup, but they came up short against LDR.
I remember that.
Can they, after all they've been through today and yesterday, take it now, improve on their results from last cup? Or will Natu's Revenge, who came second in the AOS qualifiers, also having had a chance to taste, what it's like to win it all? This are definitely two very hungry teams, Alex.
I mean,
I'm keen to see, they've been dominant all the time through. Which one comes out on top?
That's the story. That's what's going to be exciting. Both of these teams have just been right on the cusp of glory, of greatness. And what a better time than the start of a new year. Yes, we're already into the Pokemon Unite season, but to really cement yourself as a team that is here to play the game, here to make a statement of your team, this is the time to do so. Teams are going to be loading up, and we are going to be getting a best of 3. As a reminder to everybody, especially if you're just tuning in, hi, how you doing? I hope you're having yourself a great day, whether it be Saturday evening or Sunday afternoon, wherever you are. Maybe you're so far in the future, you're a time traveler just here to say hello. But what's now, what is the present? Well, guess what? We have game number 1, Natu's Revenge versus Bruff Esports, and I spy with my little eye for something that is very akin to what you and I were talking about earlier in the ACL with Mewtwo.
Yeah, Mewtwo coming out into the fray, but let's get into it. Our first game of our grand finals. Remember, there is a bracket reset potential if Bruff Esports can win this first set, but I'm sure Natu's Revenge wants to, end it on a good note, continue their sweep of the competition. We're gonna have an XP share Mewtwo to add it to the mix.
Wow, I mean, we have seen it, and Robbie, just time and time again, plays the same role to the point where every team, Natu's Revenge, you name it, they are just kind of ready and set up to take Robbie down to do some damage. And Heart was there. Heart quite literally was the heart and soul, making sure that they were going to be okay. But Ziggury going back onto the Scizor. Yes, I know it is a Scyther, but at level 5, we saw before being able to go into a Scizor. It played quite well. And again, I've talked about this before, the OCE region plays really well using Scizor.
I'm really, I guess I'm trying to think about whether we will see a Petal Dance Venu, because looking at the fact that there is an Urshifu that's probably going to be single strike, and also the Scizor Unite move, it feels like it's a very scary time, right, to play the Solar Beam Venusaur. Only time will tell, though, as we get into these 850 birds about to spawn up. We have a 3v4, it seems. Robbie lurking up for these birds. We have a Wicked Blow to come through, and we have an evolution to the Sizzle like we talked about, but a nice supporter will be able to save 2 members of Natu's Revenge. as both teams are just, heading back to their own side. It's back to farming.
Joker did a great job, and Joker's been really good when given the chance to play the Hoopa. Their portals are absolutely bananas. The way they're able to just kind of always have a keen sense for danger really goes to show you how powerful of a Hoopa player they really are. And we talked about it for a brief second, but yeah, having the Mewtwo Y, attackers kind of gaining that role of being able to be an attacker slash support. We've seen it very commonly, especially in like North America. The three Pokemon you normally see it on or like Mewtwo Y, not as often. No, Miraidon, Mew, and Espeon are the three. So Mewtwo Y still going to be very powerful, especially now that it's level 5.
Yeah, it's got that side strike to go through and stun, but it's going to be Brock Esports that are able to pick up most of those experience. It is going to be confirmed as a Venusaur coming out from Irwin, though. I do have to say, one of the advantages that Brock Esports has over Natsu's Revenge on paper is how tanky they are, right? 2 defenders and also a Blissey as well. Meanwhile, not a single defender will hit the fray for Natsu's Revenge, but they've got kind of like a pseudo-tank, which is going to be Ziggurat on that Sizzle.
Absolutely. Having that pseudo tank, especially we saw the recovery that they've been able to get away with. Interestingly enough, Venusaur, it's kind of like what is it, a double-edged sword, because on one end you can do a lot of damage against a very melee heavy team, but also vice versa. If you are not careful, you can get caught out and dove onto by that, especially by Pokemon like Scizor, like Urshifu's Unite move, especially because that is in fact single strike Urshifu, so you do not want to get caught, and that is one of those Pokemon that really needs to have a good front line in Blastoise and the Trevenant to be able to survive.
Yeah, I also love the fact that we have Assault Vest on Ziggurat. Not an item that you see most of the time. Probably seeing the wrong Pokemon in your rank ladders, but it does provide some relief from the Solar Beams coming through. Lucario will be able to secure that Regieleki up in the top half for Bruff Esports, and that's going to set the stage for Siege on this top pad. We have the Verdant Anger going through, the Venusaur Beam, not able to connect, but it does buy them enough time to get a crucial dunk and have our first break of this game. Joker's trying to counter some of it and match it with the scores of their own, but it's going to be poor Ziggurat trying to defend against 4 members, and a nice Hornly from Naomi will set the scene for them to get knocked out, you'd think, but Sizzle with the new buff seems to be staying in the fray just as well, actually survives the whole ordeal, Alex. What a change, and I did not expect that at all.
What a different change of pace, too. Natsu's Revenge kind of held a lot of momentum and tempo, especially when we saw them in the first round heading into finals today. And now, all of a sudden, Bruff Esports really has caught their second win. 139 to 164. That's a pretty big differential. And again, it feels like they're trying to slow down the Hoopa's advantage, especially when you saw that Venusaur be able to score in a whopping 40. But Natsu's Revenge, they have played really good defense in the past, and you got to imagine as we're getting to the 5-minute mark, their defense is going to be on high alert, ensuring that nobody can break more than they already have. But Lucario might have something different to say about that.
Yeah, definitely looking to poke down the enemy team is Irwin there. Nice little beam hits all 4 members, and obviously Hoopa is so important here, right? That's the only way to get held quickly instead of backing. We have pretty much a 4v4 action up in this bottom path here, waiting for the next object to come out. I don't know whether it's worth a push, to be honest. We do have a bunch of Unite moves for both these teams, though, as Robbie's going to go in. A nice little Hydro Typhoon into the Bliss Assistant will keep them sustained and knock up a lot of the members, but it gets countered by the Infinite Cyburn into the Airborne Fist, but doesn't actually lock on properly, and somehow, some way, though, Natsu Revenge will actually come out on top after all that scuffle, and, I mean, just dunks galore now for them as they look to do some mathematics and take the lead. No, they don't even. It is still a points lead for Bruff Esports.
A very small lead, but man, Mewtwo Y, we're seeing why it plays so well into the ACL. It is still a very strong attacker that you do actually have to respect. You can't just assume, oh, because Mewtwo Y, I don't see it in ladder, it's not going to be that strong. It is very powerful. It can do a lot for a team. Ice having the power-up punch. Meanwhile, for the side of Natsu's Revenge, having the Ebon Fist to be able to take somebody out and the Wicked Blow for secure does mean that both of these teams have a lot going for them. That being said, though, the capture of the Regieleki does mean that Bruff Esports could make a little bit of a push, whether on top to try to get the Regieleki in or on the bottom as a distraction.
I think Side Strike is just such a great move as well, able to just stun the enemy. And look at this, Hard picking up a KO trick of 2 and looking for more onto Buzz as well. Buzz, without someone next to them, can only heal themselves to that. in that time, and Keisha got 3 now for them. They're mega evolved. It's time to hold down the A button, and it's just going to be Ice trying to defend against 3 members. Gets shut down immediately by the red illusion dive, and Joker actually ports everyone down there as an option for people to come, but I think it might look good on the top path there. Nice little eject from YT. Tries to dodge the Hydro Pump coming from Robbie. Robbie does manage to take that KO, but gets shut down themselves. Vernon Anger also picks up the lurking Mewtwo in the bush. Not so lucky now. And, I mean, it's just trades, right? It's a tug of war right now, Alex, between these two
A
teams.
tug of war indeed, but the Natsu's Revenge, they might have lost the battle, but I think they might have won the war as they were still able to skillfully get some points in. They have taken the lead since then, 180 to 139. Right now, Natsu's Revenge has been playing out of their mind. We saw YT use that eject button to escape some danger, get a little bit of extra damage, but the Verdant Anger came, well, quite angrily with a lot of Verdant, and there was so much damage coming out of there. This Regieleki does mean a lot to both of these teams if they want to pursue it, but I do believe Natsu's Revenge, they have their sights set on potentially scoring more onto Tier 2 as we see Glaceon going to be heading to Tier 2 and Urshifu just kind of making its way. And look at these scores are going to be going in, allowing Natsu's Revenge to have a little bit more a comfort positioning. Meanwhile, Rough Esports, they're going to take this Regieleki, and you got to imagine Natsu's Revenge is kind of saying, hey, you want to let this Regieleki in? That's fine, because if anybody tries to go score on us, we can take advantage of that.
I think that is very smart as well. And don't forget, Rough Esports don't have a Hooper to put them back in, so any score will mean that there's a numbers disadvantage for them in this fight. A nice little early engagement onto Heart. Luckily, the teleport will be able to go out there. Joker in a bit of a sticky situation. Ooh. You don't want the Hooper to be going down firstly for your team. And with that shut down, I think Rough Esports is going to look to rip this Rayquaza. Ziggurat is coming in to delay it though. They have the Unite move ready to go, but they're going to be stunned till eternity. Sideburn will be able to knock out, or try to knock out some of the members, but we still have 5 very strong players standing on Rough Esports. Oracan to go through the Bliss Assistant onto Ice. The Rayquaza is ticking down. It's so low now. Urshifu on 1 HP in the Dream gets knocked out by the Rayquaza themselves. And it's going to be Hooper trying the best to secure, but with a Power Up Punch Lucario, Ice will secure them, the Rayquaza, and perhaps a score lead in this first game of the Grand Finals.
What a destructive force was Bruff Esports. The moment the Hoopa was taken down, that was the catalyst, the chemical reaction that they were waiting for. Urshifu was unable to do much, and I can only imagine that Scizor was just stunned, chain stunned repeatedly to no end. They were never able to unleash their Unite move when they needed it to come out, to try to stay alive, to get a little bit more shield, and just it all fell apart. Once Hoopa fell apart, it really was not looking good. 37 seconds remaining. It does not really look good for Natsu's Revenge, but it does look like they're going to try to group up for one last final ditch effort to try to make something happen.
It's a little bit hard now. I think it's 4 mountains to climb for Natsu's Revenge. I think it was just kind of a miscommunication thing because we had Heart kind of caught out there, but don't forget, Heart has the 2 teleports to get out of there. But Joker actually went in with the portal trying to save Heart with the Phantom Force, but after you use Phantom Force, you don't really have a way to dash out anymore. And, you know, they kind of sacrificed themselves, but it was unnecessary. And, I mean, just any intelligent team seeing that opportunity, seeing the fact that one of the best supporter Pokémon was out of the time being. I mean, you got to put pressure by ripping the Rayquaza, and it really just, I guess, rushed Natsu's Revenge in, right? And one by one, they were able to delete them off the map there. So fantastic first game.
Very unfortunate because Natsu's Revenge played that game really, really well. Everything was going really well their way. They had set themselves up very comfortably. And looking at the bans, it did look like finally Miraidon was finally banned out. We saw Psyduck and Umbreon and Cerulege were the ones banned out. And the way things just kind of played out, again, you catch one Pokemon, and in that case, it was Joker XD, and they were taken advantage of. Great job by everybody. And the fact that like this team of Bruff Esports, they are able to be flexible with different players. Like Naomi, we've seen them be on all-arounders, we've seen them be on attackers, and now we've even seen them be on Trevenant. Like they can play a lot of different plays. She is one of those players that can really flex around for a team's composition. How do we want to play this? This is what they went with, and it played really, really, really well. And so far, things were going well with Heart, especially with the Mewtwo Y. It's just in the end, Joker got caught out, was unable to use its Unite move till it was too late. Ziggery, same thing, tried to stall it out, but all 5 members were able to jump on it. Ziggery unable to unleash its Unite move. And from there all out, they were unable to get back into this match.
No, and I think just to add on to that point as well, the fact that they weren't that typical defenders, right? It was just all rounders. Those pseudo tanks meant that they were heavily reliant on the portals to really give them enough sustain in terms of HP to fight against in the late game of Bruff Esports. And yeah, it's just one of those things, right? We've seen it time and time again. You lose one person, it really just opens the door, the floodgates for an option, right? You want to rush the team in by taking down the Rayquaza and then turning, just to bait them in, or do you want to one by one pick them down because you know that they don't have any heals anymore, they don't have any possibility of teleporting. So I think definitely, yet again, it's one of those things where Dark's Revenge set themselves up for a fantastic start into the Ray fight. Silly mistake there, unfortunately. Now you're 1 game down. Good news is, though, they've got the winner's advantage, right? Like, even if they lose this set, it's going to be another bracket reset for them to try again. But I'm sure, they want to grasp onto this game number 2, send it to a game 3, and take it home at 2-1.
Yeah, Natu's Revenge. I mean, this is where they have to go look off the side at Thea Sky Ruins and Jason say, Natu, the Natus that used to be, bring us our power because we need to be able to unleash it. But great job still by Bruff Esports. Very calculated, very well done by all sides. So I cannot try to take them down and say that they didn't play their heart out. They absolutely did. Natu's Revenge. And that's the thing about these games. It's like a snowball effect. You get one little opening and then like a little snowball rolling down the hill, just gets bigger and bigger until it crashes. And that's unfortunately what happened in Natu's Revenge. They were unable to use their Unite moves. They were chain stunned into infinity and beyond. And unfortunately for them, that spelt them a loss. Granted, there was many moments of time of like, well, there might be hope. But in the end, Bruff Esports had it in the bag. And like you said, they are looking to try to force a bracket reset. The bright side of this, Natu's Revenge, still just, they need to put themselves in the mindset of, hey, we lost a game, but we are not. Let me try to phrase this. I'm trying not me trying to be a coach or anything, like in other sports. But think about it. From game 1 to game 2, not much has necessarily changed because you, as the winning side, still only need 2 games to win. Right? That hasn't changed. The only difference here is now you still have to have your mindset of we still just need 2 games. That's all we need, and we're done. Yes, we lost game 1, but that doesn't matter anymore. We can't change that. It's done. We still just need 2 games. And that's the mindset that Natu's Revenge needs to have, because if you start breaking the mental down, that's where things start getting really out of control. And Bruff Esports, as we've shown, will take advantage of any little cracks in a team's strategy, whether it be mental or in-game.
Yeah, I think the point about mental is so important, especially because that's the first game they've ever lost. And if they keep thinking like, oh, has Bruff Esports found a way into our strategy, right? Have they really found the key to unlock, a winning position against us? That's probably the worst way to go about it, right? And, it's not like they were, donutted in that game. They played extremely well. I think they stood their ground. There was a lot of fights where they did win. It's just, as they say, right? When there's a raid, there's a way. And when you find a way through the Rayquaza, it just got to be a little bit more tighter, I think, in some of the communications and some of the positioning going up into Ray, because, like you said, right, Bruff Esports, they aren't a random team, right? They just somehow found their way into the grand finals. They're going to be able to capitalize on any opportunity you present them, and it's all about that chess, right? Like, do you want to sacrifice something for something else? Do you want to, leave an opening here? Because if you do a wrong move, it might be checkmate, and who knows, whether these games will go the same as what we've seen before. But what I do hope for is that it goes the distance at least, and whether it's the first set or the bracket reset, Alex, I just want to watch these teams play because they've put up some very interesting gameplay. Especially, I think one of the biggest rotations I think that they're really exploiting against enemy teams, for Natu's Revenge at least, is that when there is a top Regieleki and they have vision, right? They send someone to see, oh, is there 4 or 5 people going up top? They get 2 people with, pockets full of AS energy to score in that second pad on the bottom. One is it sets them up at such a high lead going to Rayquaza
Mhm.
where they can kind of relax a little bit, right? When you have no pressure going to Rayquaza, it's definitely a better mindset to be in. And I feel like it happened a lot yesterday as well, and teams haven't picked up on this rotation. I'm keen to see whether this changes in the second game because it was just so obvious, right? They completely just said, oh, you can have the Regieleki because
Right,
we're going to be dunking 80 points at the bottom.
right.
And I think that's a really good trade.
I think so because again, it's all about advantage, especially at that time. Because if again, this game in its entirety is about value, being able to find that value where you can, which is why
Mm.
yes, we're gonna allow the Regieleki in, and if it does go in, that still means one of your teammates has to come to our side when Ray is already up. And as we've seen in our many rank ladders that I'm sure everybody in chat can relate to, back capping when your teammates do it sets you up for failure unless you're a Pokemon that like Dodrio or Zoroark that can get in and out very quickly. But any other Pokemon that goes in is very dangerous and you set yourself up for your team to go 4v5. So hey, you guys get the Regieleki. We'll worry about scoring an extra 80. We'll have the advantage. We'll look really good. And then that also puts yourself in a position of forcing the opposition to make a move. In this case, though, Bruff Esports answered that call. They picked up the phone, they took Joker down, and they're like, well, what are you going to do about it? So again,
Mm.
it's a very much a power dynamic, and Bruff Esports took advantage of that.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I think, the fact that we haven't seen a Tinkaton at all between these two teams might mean that perhaps, teams are still trying out and seeing whether, it is the Pokemon that should be prioritized. And having, the stakes be so high, right? The grand finals of the January Cup, maybe it's not the time to bring out something that you're still working on. Even though one of the things I wanted to watch today was how teams play Tinkaton, but unfortunately, the only set that Tinkaton came out was the set that we didn't get to watch. So fingers crossed, maybe by manifestation that these teams maybe just bring it out as maybe a secret strategy, a Hail Mary perhaps, but we're definitely not in Hail Mary territory yet. It is still, like you said, the same scenario for Natsu's Revenge. They just only need to win 2 games, but there's work to do for Bruff Esports. They've definitely come out with a banger though. 1 game up when you want to send it to a bracket reset is a great position to be in.
Absolutely. And going back to what you were saying about manifestation, all I'm saying is we talked about Greninja. We got a Grit Lane Greninja. I forgot what else in that first set we were able to predict. We were able to get it. We talked about the ACL Mewtwo Y. We saw Mewtwo Y.
Mm.
All I'm saying is our manifestation powers, we're 3 for 3. So, and if we miss this one, well, that's still a 75%. And don't tell your parents I said this, but C's do in fact get degrees. So
that's it. P's. Well, here is P's get degrees, so we might be a little bit lower down on the scale. But whatever it takes, right? And I think these teams are definitely going to be having the same mindset. Whatever Pokemon they need to think, even if it's not like entirely competitively meta based, as long as it's that comfort pick and something that they know the Pokemon inside out, it's going to be the Pokemon of choice going in. Because at the end of the day, right, it's better to play a Pokemon that you actually know how to get out of certain matchups, certain scenarios. But speaking of Greninja, Psyduck, Mewtwo Y, we're getting everything. Mimikyu, what? How did they
well,
get
listen, I'm not saying we're basically prophets here, but I think our manifestation might have been a little bit skewed. We wanted to see a Tinkaton, but instead we got everything else. So we needed to manifest harder. We still got everything else though, but Mewtwo Y going to be heading into the central area for the side of Bruff Esports. Different strategy this time around. Meanwhile, YT is going to be running with Joker Little Duck into the ground, into the bottom path, so they can get things going. But this is game 2, Natsu's Revenge versus Bruff Esports.
Wow, the one time that we didn't get anyone check, Robbie has somehow made it into the central area, and they're going to be contesting this cup food, as you'd expect. Robbie, with a dream, actually managed to get it, ejects out. If Robbie gets away with this scot-free, this is not going to be a good start for Natsu's Revenge going into the second game.
And Robbie, just being the little tree that could, being able to escape just in the nick of time. And Naomi, again, she's switching roles. She's going back onto the Machamp. You love seeing how they can go 1 minute into a Trevenant, the next a Miraidon, the next there are a Machamp. They are playing all around, and Robbie was actually not able to get that as they left with 0 points and no buff underneath them. But Irwin does have both buffs available. Who will triumph here? The wicked blow is going to secure quite a bit of it.
Yeah, they definitely will. The first bit of farm so important. Mimikyu will go down. I swear the buff was under Robbie, but it seems like it was still going to go on Zanar's Revenge to their relief. Have a 12 coming in. Erwin has Mega Evolved, and with the Safeguard as well, nothing is going to stop the A pressing that will ensue there. Another one going down, and Bruff Esports showing us the power of these old EX bonds. And with a submission to take it out, Fable goes back to the Pokemon Center as well. And Yomi definitely, well, at least 4 stacks through that engagement.
Wow, what a job by Naomi and Erwin. The way they were able to just kind of use both of the moves together. And Erwin, again, Mewtwo Y. We see now why it's still so popular in the ACL. It is one of the best attackers, if not the best. The problem being is Mimikyu needs to also be added into this equation. Urshifu kind of went in, and Ziggury almost able to get Naomi. And Naomi able to get out of there. But just looking at the state of things right now, Natsu's Revenge needs to find some openings if they want to stay in this food.
Natsu's Revenge also going for the double supporter this time, and maybe Clefable's playing more of that front line, but good news is we do have a Shuriken Ninja online now for them, matching some of the level 7s on the side of Rough Esports. Nice little dunk as well for that top path. For Team NR, then Yomi just has to give it up. But we have the 720 birds coming up very, very soon. 2v2 action at the bottom. We have a Psychic side arc with the serve coming through there. And I think for YT on the Greninja Shuriken, it's kind of playing that bot lane attacker role, but at a range right here. There's no secure potential with that Greninja. But, you know, if we've seen Greninja play today, they've played excellently. Let's see what they can bring it continually in this game number 2.
YT has just been kind of doing that thing. Greninja being able to step back, do, like you said, I think you put it perfectly. It is that bottom lane attacker, and that's kind of its position that it's been able to be in this matchup. They've been able to support a lot, and Rough Esports, it looks like they're gaining momentum, Fu.
Talking about support as well, this is the first time we get to see a Blissey Mewtwo Y get let out on the same team today, and whether that makes a difference, well, only time will tell for members of Rough Esports now. They did the Regieleki, but they're going to use this time and leave it as a distraction, maybe just waiting for the United moves to come up. We do have Barrage Blow available for Naomi. We've seen them play it before. They're going to be running in, trying to grab anybody for a chance. Grabs the Urshifu, uses the Barrage Blow on a solo target. Goodbye, Jordy, as they get sent back as well, as the Trick Room Mimikyu will not be able to sustain the output of damage coming up from Rough Esports. We have a Metagross kicking off their counterpart in the bottom part there as well, according to the scores, and things are just piling up now, right, for Natsu's Revenge. The snowball action has started for Rough Esports, and Natsu's Revenge need to find a way to come back in.
You know, see, we talked about Mewtwo Blissey finally entering the fray. What about just Machamp use and meets Fist? Because the way Naomi set herself up using that submission, she was absolutely, you might need to put a chef hat on, because they were absolutely cooking. The way, like you said, they were running around trying to find anybody that they could, then using their Unite move to just be absolutely taking care of Urshifu, so it would not be part of the situation. Right now, Rough Esports is firing on all cylinders, and let's not forget the way this Trevenant has also played.
Okay, Simon will go through. Regieleki actually gets secured by the Trevenant there. That's the second Trevenant secure we've seen today. Gyro Ball, we're going to take out Psyduck as well. This is not enough frontline for Natsu's Revenge to prevent the onslaught that Rough Esports has really affected them with, right? Another Barrage Ball to go through onto Jordy, but this time gets shut down in return. Ice is still a menace for Natsu's Revenge so far. They have so much shield coming on through, but they're going to be the last member standing in this bottom path as they're screaming for Erwin to come in and help. A nice Psychic to pull them away. Gyro doesn't actually connect, and they actually take out Erwin as well. So, finally, a window of opportunity for Natsu's Revenge to get their revenge, and now they're going to be able to try to knock out Ice for that additional icing on the cake.
Wow, talk about a defense, and that's how you do it if you're Natsu's Revenge. They were able to slow down Naomi. They were able to just kind of keep things at their own pace. Yes, they're still behind 191 to 141, so there's still a 50-point differential between these two teams, but that defense is how you do it. Urshifu came swinging, but you know Naomi is trying to do the most for their team, but they get taken down by a wicked blow, throat chop, wombo combo.
I think the Shifu against Machamp matchup is very interesting, right? Normally, if you are going to be unstoppable, you're going to be able to win that matchup. But as soon as you come out of it, the submission will be able to do and stun you for ages to come. Compute and Crash doesn't set the stadium, but is managed to take down the Greninja, though, as we have just a duck against the world up in this bottom part there, getting stunned by themselves. The Gyro Ball, the Wood Hammer coming out, somehow finds their way to get out of there. I've spoke too soon. They're going to go down, but it doesn't matter because the rest of their team is up in the top part, trying to get some value. Play with me, going up against Naomi, enough to take them down with the Urshifu, and they're going to be trying to score this 40 in. They do the iframe, the entire Phantom Forest coming in from Robbie, but they might not be able to get out of this situation.
Unfortunately, yeah, for Bruff Esports, 40 points is going to be going in the direction. Luckily, they were able to gain some good amount of advantage. Something that I wanted to note as we're getting down to the last minute of this game, a lot of Bruff Esports Pokemon kind of complement each other. And no, I don't just mean Mewtwo, Y, and Blissey. The way the Compute and Crush kind of come in, and then if you look at it, when Naomi kind of sets them up with a submission, you have the Trevenant who could then Wood Hammer them or just keep them in position. All of these moves and movesets just kind of complement one another. Naomi's able to set up so many plays with submission, and then you have the Compute and Crush, you have the Trevenant Wood Hammer. There's so many ways that these Pokemon are complementing each other. Even when the three were going up against the Duck as they were pushing on to tier 2, you saw how the Metagross was just keeping the shields, taking kind of like a pseudo defender role for Machamp and Trevenant to take over. Mewtwo Y has just kind of been that big X factor, but as Notch's Revenge, they might have a little X factor of their own called Registeel.
Registeel is definitely the best Reggie to get going into this Rayquaza fight. Nice little Psychic to poke out some help with Naomi. Naomi actually backs in the open. Maybe it's the bait, not too sure. We have some vision coming in, and they see Ziggurat in the bottom part there. Nice little dodge and eject to get out of that. I mean, Robbie's probably going to be backing it, so is Naomi going to be doing? Will Notch's Revenge see this as an opportunity to kind of like, I guess, bait the enemy in? I mean, Rayquaza's a quarter of the HP has been taken down already, probably to see whether they can get Bruff Esports to make a mistake. Nice push to come in. Shadow Claw has to bait out the Phantom Forest, and we have a bunch of Unite moves going in, but the Blitz Assistant will land on Naomi. Can they come back in with something like a Barrage Blow to go through? 2 members down for Bruff Esports, but 3 members down now. Possibly 4. We've got the Future Sight going onto it and actually knocks out the Greninja as well. Psyduck has to stall this out now for the Mimikyu here, Alex. For Fable coming back as well. I think we're set up for a refight. As Irwin's going to try to 1v1 the Duck. Joker, can you get out of this? They actually do.
Wow.
And it has been set. The stage is ready for a second round 2 match with a minute to go.
A minute to go. Ziggy is going to try. Ziggurat is going to try to get a little bit of damage on it. They are going with the Trick Room set. Very interesting to kind of change the pace of things, though. Here we go. We see a little bit of engagement. Naomi's going in, and now the Wicked Blow is charging up, though. Nobody seems to be paying attention, but it does go to Bruff Esports.
Bruff Esports, with just the brute force of their team, knocks out the entire Notch's Revenge roster, and with 20 seconds to go, securing them some Hundo Burgers in the home pad as well. And this means, ladies and gentlemen, we are going the distance. It is going to be a bracket reset today in Notch's Revenge now. You know, you can feel they're kind of cracking under this pressure, but I hope a bracket reset is a great time to reset mentally, because it is now another best of 3. Let's see who actually comes out on top. But at this moment, it is Bruff Esports' show, and they're running away with it.
My jaw is to the floor right now. The way that little Duck was able to survive as long as it did was phenomenal. I think Joker did a great job into their role, but Naomi, 13 knockouts today. Not Mewtwo Blissey. Mewtwo Blissey wishes they could be Naomi, because they together only have a combined force of 5. And I don't know about you, Naomi has more KOs than the rest of the team combined, and they were just doing so well, and just things were not looking good for Natsu's Revenge. Bruff Esports might have been sent to losers brackets, but they found something. They found an answer against Natsu's Revenge, reverse sweeping them in a 2-0 fashion. And now, like you said, we are getting a bracket reset, which means we are going to go the distance. We have another set of three to go. Will Bruff Esports be able to kind of repeat what they just did? Or is Natsu's Revenge, do they got to get their gear in? Because, I mean, we saw it at the start of the day. They were able to 2-0 them. Now, Natsu's Revenge, not looking so hot.
No, and I think that's just one of the benefits of getting center losers, right? You continue to play. You don't get cold, right? You're continually warming up your button mashing, your aim and stuff like that. Whereas Natsu Revenge, obviously, they had the benefit of sitting back and watching, but coming back in and having the pressure applied immediately, it could just be the 2 games they needed to go into the actual grand finals, right? Those were the pseudo grand finals, I think, in their head. That's how we can put it. But very important, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more set to go. It is a perfect time to take a break. We might run some ads to make sure that you guys don't miss any of the action for our distance grand finals of the January Cup. We'll see you guys very soon. Be right back.
Well, hello there, and welcome back. Look at your man, or look at whoever you're near, now look back at me. I am not them, because I'm at home. Duh. Hi, my name is Zero In on Alex, and we could not be in a more tense situation, so you had to break the ice a little bit. But with my casting partner, it's me, Foo. How are you doing here? As we are covering not only grand finals for the OCE January Cup, but a bracket reset, no less.
Yeah, I took that break, Alex, to try to find where my jaw went because what a turnaround has been for the first set, right? Natsu's
Yeah.
Revenge getting 2-0 by Bruff Esports is really the exact mirror of what happened in the the winners finals when they matched up together, right? So whether, Natsu's Revenge has some sort of secret up their sleeve to combat the ever so strong momentum that Bruff Esports has shown coming out from the losers final as well. Only time will tell, but we do have the match ready to go very, very soon. Alex, I mean, if it's any indication of what it's going to be like for this next set, I'm sure Natsu's Revenge will not want to go down without a fight, right? A lot of the times, from the battle report, it came down to just the last 2 minutes. The whole 8 minutes was all about preparing for those 120 seconds on the board. And is it time to bring out a rip comp? Or is it better to go on the old reliable and go with what you trust? What do you think?
This is where things get really tricky for a team because normally I'd say, yeah, maybe you just need to switch it up, but those types of plays and stuff you got to do when you have a little bit more wiggle room. That wiggle room went from this to about this or this. And maybe this if they lose another game because again, you want to feel comfortable, but again, getting 2-0'd can really knock the confidence out of you. And Notch's Revenge has to be able to come back and realize, hey, we 2-0'd these guys before. We can 2-0 them again. But just as equally, Bruff Esports needs to say, hey, we were 2-0'd. This is our revenge. It's not Natsu's revenge. It's our revenge to be able to win. And what a grand fashion would that be if they were doing it via grand final style. So either way, I'm excited to see this new best of 3.
Well, we don't have to wait any further as we head into our game 1 bracket reset grand finals. Just trying to absorb the draft quickly. We have Greninja making a comeback for Natus, as well as Umbreon. Probably our first Umbreon we get to see today or something like that. At least the first one that I remember. Buzz will be taking that Pokemon up in that top path with Naomi, once again repping the Little Machop.
Honestly, when it comes to Umbreon, it has been banned. I think maybe we have seen one before. Yes, we did at the very beginning because I remember a triple trample was caught by a mean look. But other than that, we have not been able to see it other than the start of our evening. And again, Naomi's going to be allowed to get these stacks. And we know how good Naomi has been and will probably continue to be when it comes to Machamp.
Don't fix what's not broken, right? Naomi getting some quality stacks in there, and there's going to be a reply coming up from Ziggury as well, probably looking to get some stacks of their own. Nice little eject to go through. Ziggury trying to get some value, at least scoring to get out of this fight. They do have their own eject, and they're going to be safely running away scot-free, but not before Erwin comes in now. He's got the spears locked on to Ziggury, and that goes goodbye. Our first takedown of today. Gets traded out by Naomi, though, so still, yet again, a representation of how close these matches have been.
I mean, talk about it. Yeah, and Robbie, again, a very similar play. They're going to rotate, have all 4 members here. Meanwhile, Ice, who, again, Lucario has historically been a top lane Pokemon, but now has transitioned into the bottom lane as a solo Pokemon to try to make things happen, as there was a little bit of an engagement on the top, but Nacho's Revenge need to take advantage and try to get YT online as quick as possible as the Greninja. Meanwhile, Ice is going to try to escape into the enemy central area.
Ice probably bitten a little bit more than they can chew. Ziggury having access to Curse now is fantastic as well. Ice actually goes down there from that engagement. So with the burst coming up very, very soon, looking at the levels quickly, we do have 6s coming up first for Natsu's Revenge, not before Erwin gets that access to their second move as well. Nice little dunks coming in from YT. Yet again, just Lane Greninja making an impact today in this bottom path there as Joker. Probably not going to be able to go out there. They do take a nap though, so at least they're comfortable when they go back into the home pad.
I mean, yeah, getting the Greninja is going to be very pivotal for any team, and this is one of those times where you need to be able to get it online so you can have that water shuriken, have the ability to kind of zone people out. And Great job right now by Eldegoss being able to keep Ziggury alive. Kind of, even though they are Trevenant, they have been that pseudo all-arounder. Their class is always defender, but that all-arounder being in your face to be able to do damage. And Greninja is online. Nobody is level 9, but this Urshifu is ticking awfully close, especially with these birds coming up.
Oh, Ziggury gets mean looked into the spears. What a deadly combo. They will say goodbye. And Joker coming in. And perhaps Jordy can get some sort of value. Maybe a trade there. No. Actually not going to be able to access. I mean, the honest is really on Buzz, right? To protect Owen there from any sort of dive coming out from Natu's Revenge. Robbie, not level 7 at the moment, will help to reduce the health of this blue buff before Owen will come down. Seems like YT isn't going to be helping out with this basement Reggie either. Joker's probably there to get some vision of that, but what we do have is an instant rip of this Reggie Lecky. 2 members of Natu's Revenge against 3 members up in the top half there. Ziggury, can they defend this? They do have access to Hornleech though. The stage is set for Irwin, but yet again, it's just so difficult when you're mean looked, right? And you have to just eat the spears to your face.
You get so much value out of it. Speaking of value, wicked blow right into the Ebon Fist. Wow, just a great job that this team is putting on right now. Natsu's Revenge, they're trying to get the revenge here, and they're going to be getting points in a plethora and in a hurry. But yeah, mean look brings so much value, and especially for a Pokemon like Trevenant, when it is trapped there against an Icicle Spear, you are at the mercy, because yes, they are running Curse Hornleech, so you want the Curse, get your resets to then Hornleech, that way you can Hornleech twice in a row. You Hornleech, your Curse, Hornleech, back in the you pop the Curse, Hornleech again, but it becomes that much harder to Hornleech and stay alive when you're mean looked and can't actually hit any of your targets.
Speaking of hitting targets, though, we have a nice little power punch that connected onto YT, but the double team will be able to save them. Someone that's not that lucky is going to be Joker, and as soon as the defender goes down, you can see how Bruff Esports is just going to capture the opportunity, right, to break that pad, and there goes Heart as well, and you can now feel the green light to get some scores in the bottom, though, but Joker does come back in time. A nice little block will get countered by the Hydro Typhoon, and Robbie, hurrying back, tells the team, we do not want to give any more levels there. We had a great break of the pad there. We're in the lead in points. Let's just play it for ourselves as we get ready for this top Regieleki.
That's really where you have to be careful. Staying way too long, you can end up giving more EXP to your teammates, which you never really want to do. But so far, this Umbreon has played what I talked about before. It can be your defender, but it can also easily very much be your support, as they are running Mean Look, Wish, Wombo combo to keep the team able to stay alive, able to stay in fights longer. And already Joker's going to try to set up these blocks to try to position with the Phantom Forest there also coming out, and they're going to try to get a KO on the Buzz.
Nice little Moonlight Prance to steal the shields afforded by Ziggury there, but it's going to be Bruff Esports to lose a member first, and quickly and swiftly, we've got Buzz also going down, but the Baron's blow to go in and knock away Greninja might mean that, you know, Natu's Revenge could be running out of gas, but no, they're not. The Curse is going to be way too strong. It's kind of like a Pedodan's Vena, if you think about it, the damage in that area of effect. Ice getting pushed into the wall there. Joker taking the mean look, but just not enough people on the side. Bruff Esports can actually contest this Regieleki. Buzz is trying to do their best. They know they've got one pass to use, but Joker's there to answer for it.
And I love to see the way this Snorlax has been just setting up these plays. All of a sudden, this game is looking a lot tighter, and each time that Bruff Esports makes a call, Natu's Revenge is right there to answer that call and hit them back. You know, Bruff Esports throws the left hook, well, Natu dodges it, hits with the right, but then gets hit with another left hook. It is just this ongoing back and forth, and Joker has been setting up these heavy slams with these blocks perfectly, trying to take them down. And again, the mean look is going to be quite a factor, but look at Joker breaking ankles left and right. And this is Pokemon Unite, not the NBA, but the way Joker was juking, oh my, those feet are cooking.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see Natu's Revenge kind of using Bruff Esports' strategy against them, right? They seem to be everywhere right now, whether it's top bottom. There's always either a basement Reggie secure or a Reggie Lecky walking top path. It seems like Bruff Esports are actually scrambling in this game. They're going to be able to have access to all of those free mutual farm though. So we have some Unite moves now ticking for all these team members. 5v5 action. There is not going to be any time to use it before the Rayquaza fight though. So both teams have to be very careful now to set up their position in the most important, right, 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, this is going to be it for somebody. This is going to set a good kind of template of what we're going to expect to see. If you end up on the losing end of this, you're going to need to then win too, because now your backs are up against the wall. But if you're the side that is able to get the dub here, you're feeling a lot more confident, a lot more better. Levels across the board, though, are looking pretty good for Natsu's Revenge as Urshifu is ticking hopefully into 15. But that's not to say Bruff Esports, they're Glaceon, level 14. We know how powerful it could be, and this is one of those moments that could set a precedence, but they are going to allow Joker to be able to escape, heal a little bit off, but Bruff Esports bringing on the pressure.
Oh my god, Jordy caught out between a rock and a hard place now. It has to use the Cloud Crash to save them. It doesn't actually do so. Moonlight Prance will be used though by Buzz, but they do have now a numbers advantage. They're all coming up together. Yomi still has the Barrack Bomb available by massive heavy slam into the block. We're going to stun 2 members. Having to use the Hydro Typhoon is Robbie, but they're going to start this Rayquaza. We have the pump not actually going through. Lucario going down to the Rayquaza question mark. Snorlax taking down Glaceon as well. And this might be the time. No! I scratched that. Naomi once again able to stop any form of revenge coming out from Natus. And they're going to be able to secure the Rayquaza, score the 50. What can Naomi not do right now?
I do not know what I just witnessed. Absolute anatomy of insanity is what we just witnessed there, Fu. You saw that Lucario and Glaceon went down, and that's when you really thought Natu's Revenge had found their opening to make a play. And Naomi was the one who was able to get the final KO onto the Rayquaza. 45 seconds remain. About 120 points of AOs is what differentiates these two teams. They need to make a play now.
Oh my god, they get some scores in.
Oh my.
20 points will separate this team. It is a close battle, ladies and gentlemen. It does not get closer to this as we head into our game number 1 of our bracket reset. They know that you get to do a little bit of a score, but everyone has too many points on the side of Natu's Revenge. With that Hydro Typhoon, it shuts down 2 members of Natu's and Hut with no points. If only they know how close this game was and how they just needed a tiny bit of score, they will be kicking themselves, because what a fantastic way for Bruff Esports to kind of really come back and save themselves from losing this game number 1.
Wow, that was absolute insanity. If we thought that game set 1 was just crazy, well, these teams just turned it up a notch. But no, the ending score, they ended up scoring another 100 on the back end as that match was finishing. But man, how close was that? You're talking about 20 points of difference right near the buzzer. In the end, it really spelled it all for Bruff Esports. But now, all of a sudden, Bruff Esports has now arguably gone undefeated. They did get swept earlier, but Bruff Esports might be on the cusp of trying to sweep Natsu's Revenge.
For the past 3 games, Alex, it has just been Bruff Esports coming up on top, right? There hasn't been an opportunity at the Wraith fight, at least for Natsu Revenge to really make a confident secure of the Rayquaza. It's always people still staying in on both of these teams. And from what we've seen today, if you leave anyone standing, there is that chance that they can take the dream of Rayquaza, the dream of winning the January Cup away from you. And whether, today it was Robbie or Naomi there, it puts a question into any team's mind, right? Like, do we really need to take out everybody on the team, even with a favor for the secure, right? And these moments of doubt is definitely not what you want to think about as you head into possibly the last game of today's broadcast and of this tournament, right? How do you stay resilient in those times? Coming in such a dominant performance throughout day 1 and day 2, but just maybe coming up a little bit short in the grand finals.
That's got to be heartbreaking. Heartbreaking for any
Mhm.
team to be able to go up against that. You know, you finally take out the two big hitters and you're thinking, this is our time to shine. This is our moment. This is finally where we're going to open the door. We found the crack. We found a little bit of a glitch in the armor. We can make it. And Naomi shuts the door right in their face, puts on the armor and shows, haha, you thought. And Naomi runs away with it, being able to secure it. She has been one of the most MVP like players, not just this game. I'm talking about these entire two sets. The plays they have made with their eject button, but barrages blows. The way they've been able to set things up with their Machamp, the way they have just kind of been able to flex into any role that is needed. It is really hard to contend against Bruff Esports. It really makes you question what went wrong in winners finals, right? It makes you think, did Bruff Esports need to wake up? Did they need a warm up? Did they really need to get into the rhythm of things? Well, we're now seeing what Bruff Esports is all about.
Definitely, and I think Naomi, for example, and a member of Team Balance that came second in the December Cup, definitely, was in arm's length reach of what it's like to win. And now with renewed passion in the January Cup, they know and they've tasted, what defeat feels like going up against LDR last time, but now, a different team. It's like what they say, right? Different mask, same task.
Right.
It's the goal is the same. We are trying to win this cup for once, trying to get that prize money, but for all, getting the validation that they are a team that can actually perform really well in our OC region.
Yeah, I mean, now you got to ask yourself, because before they were within arm's length, but now there are a win away from finally tasting the glory of being a champion and some prize money. I mean, you got to imagine this is now not even just arm's length. This is now like a hand just reaching out, and you're right on the cusp. No, Chad, I'm not grabbing your face. Don't worry. Don't be scared. It's so close, but there's still one game that needs to be done. But just as equally, Natu's Revenge has to go back and say, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? Because we need to correct our wrongs, and we are now quite literally at the end of our rope. There is no more leg room. There is no more space.
No.
It is now or never for Natsu's Revenge.
It really is, and it's like you said, it's closer than arm length. It's probably a B button away from winning the entire team. You press the B button at the correct time, right? Exactly. You get the Rayquaza, and probably 9 out of 10, you're going to be able to win that match. Even though that last game was really coming down to the wire, but didn't realize that Robbie still had their shield from Rayquaza, right? Was able to get that 100. But I can just imagine, let's say the overdunks were not in the favor of Bruff Esports, and somehow those 100 and I think 6 scores coming out from Natsu Revenge at the end was enough. Could you just imagine, even if you got in the Rayquaza from this fluke secure, still losing the match, that would have been, turned the whole thing upside down.
Yeah.
But this is not the timeline we're in. We're in the timeline where that secure was enough, right? And Bruffy's still getting very lucky today in some of those secures as well. Sometimes it just happens, right? In a 10-minute MOBA, where something like a Rayquaza can provide you with so much support to score, and then again, if you have a higher score at the end, that is how you're going to be able to win these games and take home the January Cup. I'm just trying to think of what Natsu Revenge can do. They haven't really shown us a lot of, classic, typical defender Pokemon, right? It's always been either 2 supports, maybe like a pseudo tank with your Sizzle as well. But whenever they play a proper defender, it's always up in that top path. Is it a time to maybe take the Blastoise away from Robbie, right, and play it yourself as a defender, and then have Ziggurat play maybe a Sizzle or something up top? Maybe just to give them a little bit more sustain, right, in some of these late game fights, because we don't want to burn bright and then fizzle fast, right? We want to have sustain. We want to be a candle that has enough wax to last the entire 2 minutes and not just get knocked down, especially if someone wanders into a bush unknowingly and gets knocked out. Then you're immediately a 5v4 scenario.
Right. Which then begs the question that we kind of asked before we even got into the bracket reset. What is Natu's Revenge plans? Do they go with something so outlandish it just might work? Or do they say, hey, we need to go back to our basics? What is everybody the most comfortable with? We need to play that, and we need to go in. We need to focus. We need to lock in. This is what we need. And you're right. Maybe one of those things is either taking Blastoise away, or do you burn one of your bans on trying to get rid of both Blastoise and Umbreon? But that leaves a lot of things still available like Trevenant. So you really have to ask yourself, where are you gaining this value and what is going to work best? Because now you had an entire set to try to figure things out and it did not go their way. So now this is it. There is no more room. One more loss and that will give Bruff Esports the win. But on the other side of the same coin, Bruff Esports, they were sent into losers and they clawed their way out. They survived it all and forced their way back into grand finals and also forced the bracket reset. And for that, I have to commend any team to be able to go that distance.
I definitely agree as well. And like you said, it's time to lock in, and no better time than right now. It is crunch time for both these teams. But so far, right, even if Naruto Revenge has been locking in, it seems like Bruff Esports has just found the key to unlock any of the locks that Naruto Revenge has brought in to the play here. Now, it's a time to reveal maybe a Hail Mary. I'm just trying to think of what you could actually do on the side of Naruto Revenge. Because it's not like it's at the same time, like we say, it's not like they're not scoring any points, right? Or they have all their pads broken. It is clearly such a close game, but just in those specific moments, just like, break points or game points in tennis, it just goes on the side of that one party, and that could change the entire game, right? They can win 55% of the engagements, but if you lose the last one, that's the most important. And that's just the nature of this game, and naturally, right, you got to be able to think about how you can draft a way to set yourself up for success when the Rayquaza will spawn, and whether it's more secure Pokemon, more defenders on your team. You know what? Like, I remember last season, Alex, we had in the Unity Clash, we had MYS playing 5 defenders.
Yeah.
Just to see if it worked, and it worked.
It did.
To be honest, they took out the whole thing. So, is it time to change it up? Obviously, there's risks involved, right? It's a comp that maybe they haven't practiced, but could that be the difference maker? Who knows?
I mean, it's one of those things where, like you said, do you go with comfort or do you go all out for a Hail Mary? Where is that line, and where is the team mentally to be in that position? Because again, even if Natu's Revenge wins this with some Hail Mary, they still have to win another one. Meanwhile, Bruff Esports just needs to win one. They are so close. Both of these teams have fought their way here and are so close, within inches of claiming that glory, but only one of these teams is going to be able to walk away very soon.
Well, we don't have to wait any further as we head into potentially the last game of today's set. Taking in, we have an Armarouge joining the fray, and like I predicted, Blastoise will be taken away from Bruff Esports. Naruto Revenge picking themselves up, as well as Trevenant as well. They must be listening to our manifestations here, Alex. We have 2 defenders. Nothing we've seen before from Natsu's Revenge.
No, Natsu's Revenge finally bringing something a little bit different to the table, and it might work in their favor. The Armarouge is definitely, for me, where are they going with this? We haven't seen it all day. What is their plan that they're trying to do? And once again, Robbie gets stopped, and you're right, they did in fact take the Blastoise away, which honestly has been the smartest play so far by Natsu's Revenge.
We also have your classic bottom path Beldum coming out from Ice as well. That's really the kind of the role that Ice has been playing, where they take the bottom path to scale instead of the top, as you would typically imagine. Joker, in a bit of a tight situation, uses the Skull Bass to get out of there. And I really like the fact that we have so many members now already in the top path, just to fend off any of the aggression that Bruff Esports is known to have. And yet again, Joker coming up top as well. I do anticipate a 4v3 or 4v2 up in that top path. Especially
because that's something that Bruff Esports has been using. They have used it to their best of their abilities, but now Natsu's Revenge, they have 4 members up here. They have 2 available, but here comes the Wicked Blow to try to take as much as they can without losing too much value. But Naomi sticking to what works best with the Machamp.
Yeah, the benefits of Machamp as well is, even as a Machoke, it does give enough power with its level 5 move, right, with this Submission Dynamic Punch, to actually make a difference in some of these neutral farm contests. They're going to run the Dynamic Punch this time, jumping in, try to secure any of these farm, but Ziggurat, not level 5 yet, can't really do the same as what Naomi can output so far.
And not so fast. They are going to get pushed back. Naomi in a little bit of trouble with a little bit of burn still lingering. They get taken out by the burn. Will-O-Wisp burn is going to get the KO. And oh my, you watched it and my heart was racing, but Naomi does get taken down, which does allow Trevenant to become Trevenant.
Yeah, that was a fantastic KO for Nature's Revenge. You talked about cooking beforehand. This was just a literal physical cook with the burn as well. And speaking of burn, we have Buzz going down once again. Me trying to defend the pad. But all is not lost for Rough Esports as they look to push this bottom pad there. And, if you can't get value up top, we get some at the bottom right. Better help Ice get that Metagross ASAP. We're going to have an Armor Cannon Armor Rouge coming out from YT. So back to talking about the secure, right? We have now double secure potential for Nature's Revenge. Double defender. It's all about seeing double for their team strategy as these birds will spawn up.
That was very, very interesting to see the armor cannon. It's not a move we see a lot, but this Glaceon has definitely been really good for Irwin as they set the glacial stage. This Trevenant, Ziggury's trying to do as much as they can to stay alive, but they get finally frozen in time and they get taken out. But again, Natsu's Revenge, once again, they are not going to go down easily. They are going to try to get as much value as they can when they can. Because again, their backs are in fact up against the wall. They cannot try to risk too much leverage to the side of Rough Esports.
No, they can't. And Irwin has just been on that Glaceon duty today, whether it's Ice Cold Spear or Icy Wind. We've got Natsu's Revenge actually giving up this top pad there in favor of some scores in the bottom half. It's the same strategy I think that both these teams like to play. They prefer this bottom path is Natsu's Revenge, whereas Rough Esports, they like attacking that tier 2 pad ASAP with the regular key. And so far it's worked for them, but Natsu's Revenge maybe can change some things up in this game. Joker still lurking this pad. It's on a beautiful one for Rough Esports, so not really the best scenario if you're Natsu's Revenge.
Yeah, right now, Rough Esports doesn't have to worry one bit. They can say, hey, we can save that for later for a big overdong, try to get a good amount, but Irwin gets caught a little bit in the surf, but man, look at the way Buzz was able to just kind of be the follow-up to make sure Irwin is always safe as they were able to eject. But the blow itself finally gets the Glaceon down, but now they're faced with the rest of the members of Rough Esports.
There they are, and I think Jordy did a fantastic job to knock out Irwin with the Ebon Fist, and that's going to be their job for their Rayquaza fight as well. The problem is, though, Irwin has been positioning themselves just with the Metagross as well, so even if they get knocked out, Jordy is punished for that KO, and that might be a good way to combat just an instant lockdown move, such as your Ebon Fist. Joker's now surfing, chasing down Robbie. Not really sure whether anyone wins from this little matchup, especially if Ice is now lurking in the bush, waiting for Joker to walk into the trap, and it was a trap all along. Now Joker's now on the back foot, has to surf Ice away, but don't forget, we've got Calvary as well. YT's here to help, and now it's another 2v1, Hydro Typhoon to come through. But Ice is still very healthy. I mean, we're watching a random scramble with no objectives available. These teams just like to pad up the stats.
Yeah, definitely a weird engagement. The whole time, I'm questioning why the Blastoise is going after this. Like, the value is not there. And in a game where it is literally win or lose and go home, this is not the time to be making plays like that, because giving up the Hydro Typhoon for absolutely no reason is just not something I can ever agree with, especially when an objective has finally come up. And now Rough Esports, they're going to make an entire push to make something happen. And with a small overcap, they are just looking for KOs as that Computing Crash tries to land on the armor.
Jordy not even able to lock onto the Glaceon there as they get shut down from Melook, but a nice little barrage blow will be able to pick off 3 members of Natsu's Revenge, and they're actually going to risk the jump by getting some scores in, as Naomi will be able to dynamic punch away from them and head away back into the home pad. They were not seen actually safely going back there, but the points are going to be in the favor of Natsu's Revenge, but from a lot of these skirmishes and fights, Alex, I'm not confident that Natsu's Revenge can actually take down, once the levels get to where they are for Rough Esports. It seems like Ebon Fist is finding hard to actually land on the Glaceon.
I mean, when it comes to its passive snow cloak and then just being able to try to actually reach it, this Umbreon has always been there to give it support, not only in wishes, but also being able to lock the enemy team down with mean look. You cannot reach this Glaceon. Glaceon is always in such a state of protection, not even just from the Umbreon as it Moonlight Prances, but you also have the Metagross, who when it gets its shields, it acts like a defender, and you still have Snorlax. Glaceon is, look, just right there. The Emphasis lands finally, but before then you have to get through a Snorlax, you have to get through a pseudo defender in Metagross and Umbreon.
You're definitely right, and I think now that YT has that level 11, so that enhanced armor cannon, they will have an easier time with the range that it affords. It's kind of like a scissors paper rock scenario, isn't it? We've got an Urshifu that will beat out a Glaceon with his Amethyst, but then Mean Look will stop them. But then when you're mean looking, right, then you're exposed to, you know, the armor roots coming in because you can't mean look that Pokemon anymore. So it's all about how these teams will clash together towards the end. Something Ziggler did very well there is to push the Glaceon away from the Regieleki so that they can't actually lock into the spears. That gave Jordy enough freedom to actually lock down that Regieleki. So I do see Natu Revenge finding a way now finally to come back in. But what I'm most concerned about is that we don't have a Unite move on Blastoise, and we don't have a Unite move on Urshifu.
That is definitely not a position you want to be in. This is game, set, match for Bruff Esports if they're able to secure this. And those are two very big and very powerful Unite moves that you always want to have available. You got to be communicating with your teammates. On top of all of that, Blastoise, while it does have its Unite move now, is not level 13, meaning it is not going to be gaining those big, heavy shields that it would have if it was at level 13.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We now do have a full amount of Unite moves available, and they're going to use it all at once. Moonlight Prince is going to steal so much shield from them, but the stage is going to be set with a Metagross there. Can we get a knockout? Eldegoss goes down first for Natu Revenge. In trade of Owen, though, Owen does go out. Is this the time and an opening for Natu Revenge to come back into this game? Nice little Curse Horn Leech will be able to stop them away. Machamp goes down. No more Naomi to fight in, but Joker and Geordie are on 1 HP. There's not enough Pokemon that can actually rip the Rayquaza. They know they're only ahead, but are they going to be having enough resource to have a second fight? The good news is, though, Hut does have that Cotton Cloud Crash to save them one last time.
The thing that makes this difficult is Ice is level 13, and the one Gyro Ball with multiple enemies gives them such a big shield to be able to survive anything that Natu's Revenge tries to throw at them. Meanwhile, though, they're going to have a little bit of a second engagement, but this time Irwin is back, and they have their Icicle Spears crashing into the enemy.
Someone needs to take down Irwin. That is going to be the one job for Geordie, but without an Evan Fist, I'm not sure whether that's going to be able to be doable. Nice little stun on Naomi. Somehow still gets out of there, though. Now we have a numbers advantage for Bruff Esports. 30 seconds to go. Naomi actually takes a fantastic time to go in for the dunk. We know, everyone at home knows, that puts them in the lead. But there's no one on Team Natu Revenge that has those little points to go for the score. 14 seconds on the page now. The little amount of points of 25 is required here. Oh my god, Geordie has 9, but the block's gonna come through. The 50s, the 9. Can anyone get any scores in on the side of Natu's Revenge? 3 seconds remaining. It's gonna be too much. It is not enough. No one scores on Natu's Revenge. And I think that means Bruff Esports taking it home with a clean reverse sweep.
We have to go to the scoreboard, but you better believe it, because seeing is believing, and they have done it. Bruff's Esports has done it. They have gotten over the hill that they were unable to do so. 9 points would have given them 18 if the Urshifu was able to get them in, but the ice, the stage was set from Glaceon on not allowing them to score. We saw it, and how poetic is it that we saw a Dodrio try to backcap, and that was the winning score. And now Naomi at the end of it all, once again being the MVP to score the final points that really sent them into the victory circle. You're right, the Urshifu had 9 points. If those 9 points go in and the glacial stage is set incorrectly, that we are talking about a numbers game. But Naomi is them. She finally has gotten over the hump, and her team of Bruff Esports are your OCE January Cup final champions.
The arc is complete, and isn't it funny the only reason Yomi probably went into that direction is because they were run down by YT and also Joker there. And having not a lot of HP, instead of going back, which is, to heal yourself up, they recognized that there wasn't actually enough time on the clock. And with everyone so focused on the other side of the Rayquaza pit, all you need is those cheeky little 12 points, double time at 24 to send them into the lead. I mean, we could see the scores, but I'm sure on their end, they're just praying, right? And 24 is more than 20, so if there were close battle beforehand, they knew they've secured the win as long as the Sheaf didn't get a score. So incredible scenes. What an incredible grand final today. I mean, 4 matches of just... We didn't know who was going to win until the end, right, Alex? It was all up to the Rayquaza, regardless if it was taken or not. But yet again, I mean, Bruff Esports taking it home. It's coming home for them, and what a result that they have achieved.
Just congratulations to all members of Bruff Esports. I mean, we saw it that Bruff Esports was able to stay alive thanks to Robbie and their amazing Trevenant play. It's what kept them alive. That one play was a catalyst that kind of really cemented the team, and that's when it really felt like the team finally got all wheels. Everything was going. It was amazing the way this team played it all out, and every member had their part. And after being sent to losers finals, it felt like it felt like a sleeping giant was awoken. And even to make that run in losers bracket, to make it to grand finals, and then to force the bracket reset. I mean, listen, I know I'm from North America and we're an OC, and I've talked to production behind the scenes about the NFL postseason. It's exciting, but let me tell you, as an American, as a Latino, this is where it's at. This is exciting to see the 4-0 sweep, force it reverse. The best way I can say is Santa Maria, Dios mío, oh my goodness, oh my gosh. This is Pokemon Unite, and Fu, it was an honor here to be able to witness this.
It was really just an Uno reverse card, right, that Bruff Esports showed to the face of Nasru's Revenge there. But that's going to wrap up for us today. I just want to give a quick shout out to all those teams that made it into day 2. What an incredible achievement you guys all have performed. Font Nation, Nintendo Rats, and obviously Nasru's Revenge and Bruff Esports being your champions of the January Cup here. They cemented themselves, at least for the 2025 season, for 5 incredible members to watch going into... I think the February Cup will be in about 3 weeks as well. The action really doesn't stop in this new schedule that the official Pokemon Unite organizers have made for us this year. Plenty of people to thank today before we wrap up the stream. Zirin and Alex, thank you so much for traveling all the way across the world, giving up your time in the late moments of Saturday, if I'm correct, to pass these games with us. It could not be done without you. I hope you had a fantastic time today. We also need to thank our producer, Chippy, for making it all possible. All the transitions, the timings, it's all because of them. So big shout out to Chippy. Also, Shivam was our admin today, so thank you so much again. Fantastic work. And also giving us the insights on what happened to the set that we weren't able to watch. And obviously, all the players that played over the weekend and the people at home that got to watch today's game. I mean, we had plenty of awesome moments. Do you have anything else to say before we wrap up, Alex? And any highlight moment today to really remind ourselves what an incredible stream it has been?
I think the true MVP, it has to be Radiant Rosander. She was our eye in the sky, giving us all those heated moments. And to be able to do that, it is not an easy task. So they're the true MVP, but just shout out to the teams. And I still think my highlight, what in the world is this game, is the Robbie Trevenant first animation secure on their own against 4. That, to me, was my... Gosh, I love this game. I really do. I really do.
Isn't it crazy? Because if they lost that, they probably wouldn't have been able to make it through.
Butterfly
everything
effect.
is written for
Everything's
a reason,
written.
So congratulations to them. And I'm sure that should be clipped multiple times. And I hope Robbie really realizes what an impact he has made for the team indeed. But that's going to be it for us today. I think we've gone through everything, Alex. What an incredible broadcast it has been. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be rating out, I think. We'll double check really quickly. But if not, we'll see you guys bright and early in the month for February Cup coming in very soon. I think it's like the first week or so before, obviously, the EYC will be at the end of it. But from us here at Battle Hub, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.